2 minutes to 2. We are, as always, not on time, which is pretty much what I do. So we're always early. Always. We're never late though. That's the important part. Welcome to the Sunday service. It is just about 2 o'clock. Apologies if you can hear guitar playing or something in the background, because my kids have decided to invite all their friends over to play guitar, which is always an interesting Sunday. As per usual. But anyway, whatever it is that you've gotten here with, welcome to it. It is a grey, dreary, foggy, horrible Sunday, but it is the last Sunday of lockdown in the Republic, anyway, at least. I don't know how that's going to work, since the other bit of the island is still in some sort of lockdown. I don't quite get what's going to happen there, but we'll see how that pans out for the whole world. Of course, everybody is absolutely sick of lockdown. If you're sick of it, don't be afraid. You're definitely not alone. It is definitely dragging everybody down at the moment, but we'll try and lift you up over the next couple of hours. While we're sitting here chatting. I don't know how many people are going to turn up today, because it's a funny day. It's the day before a lot of people go back to work. I have to go pick up a car tomorrow as well, so it's the day before a lot of things. People kind of the fear, I think, will be starting in some people today as to what's going to happen next and what people are supposed to do. So it's kind of weird, isn't it, to kind of have that feeling going. I've done a few decorations. There is a little van here that's got Santa sticking out, but there is some little lights around the back as well. It's doing its own little thing, just to kind of get the feeling of Christmas started. Just on, can you rewind 3 minutes? There is I don't know what you actually call it when you rewind it, but I do enable it on the system to allow it to rewind things if you want to go back to the very beginning. But you haven't missed a whole lot. You're okay. You don't need a late note just yet, because it isn't even ticked over to 2 o'clock yet. Isn't that gas? How we got there already? But it is a very, very weird feeling that everybody's got at the moment. Social media is feeling, everything is feeling it. You can feel it in the streets. You can feel people talking about stuff about this lockdown, really getting into the second half of lockdown. We're like a rudderless ship moving about the place. Nobody seems to want to lead the pack as to what's going on. So it's pretty hard to digest at the moment. If you're feeling that lockdown blues all over the place, that is not unusual. Even though I'm feeling it as well. So don't think that I'm immune from it somehow, but hopefully we lift you up along the way. I have headphones in my pocket. I forgot to take them out. Hold on. I've got little AirPod things in little real AirPods in little. Would you believe? They're gone now, mind you. So don't think about buying them, but they are real AirPods. Everything seems to be going okay, so we're all right. That's good. Warren Savage was here earlier. Bob, thinking of a Grandland PHEV. Good car, yeah. How much petrol do you reckon I'd use weekly doing average school runs? Well, I used none. I had mine charged up and I was driving up and down to school with the kids and going here and there all over the town, and really I did, like, the fuel economy is insane on it, like insane. I only really used to get out on the motorway. Now that's pretty much it. Everything else was all electric. Now watch your electricity bill skyrocket very quickly. You know, it does go up very fast, because I have a Peugeot 508 PHEV for the last few weeks, and that I've run mostly on electricity, but I find that I'm charging it every day. It's only 20 kilometers range. I am charging it every day. It was not the same in the Grandland. The Grandland had a better range on it, so, but you still have to charge every day. So you're shifting your bill from diesel or petrol to electricity. It's a lot less of a bill, but it's still another bill that you're moving about the place. Lenny Rossa is here. Hi, Lenny. Rose is live streaming over on TikTok at the moment, which I did see, but I can't join her, so I'm stuck here doing another live stream instead, with my buddies and pals off to TikToky things. Speaking of TikTok, we're still at 70,000 followers, 69,900 followers on TikTok. TikTok has now turned off basically every channel, unless they're American monetized or a young lady dancing around the place with her midriff out. That would be about the only way that you can get more followers on TikTok currently. A lot of big TikTokers from Ireland are now deserting the platform, heading over to Instagram, trying to build their following out there again, or heading to Facebook, or heading to a different platform, because TikTok is very unreliable. One day you are on the For You page constantly, and the next day you're just disappeared as if it never happened, and it's pretty hard to deal with for a lot of followers. I had a lot of DMs there as well, so if you're one of those creators out there, we should probably create a Discord channel or something to try and get together and start talking about what we could do to create content that we like creating out in the world and promoting it in that way. We'll figure it out though. Flavanite Disciples here. Good afternoon, everybody. I would prefer to see a centre screen to block the rubbernecers on the M50. Variable speed is pointless, not free flowing. The M50 pre-COVID was very slow. I don't know if anyone noticed this. This was sent out to me today by by Jared Hewitt, who alerted me to this one, and I'm just going to cut over to it now, which came out in the Times today. The variable speed limits on the new cameras will be set to make the M50 safer. It's always safer. It's always about safety, right? Every time we do something, it's to make things safer. Transport Minister Eamon Ryan, of course, brings legislation to the Dáil next month to allow the speed limit of the M50 to be reduced from 100 km an hour to as low as 40 km an hour to make the motorway safer and improve traffic flow. Of course, going slower always improves traffic flow. Always, for sure, yeah. Transport Infrastructure Ireland, which used to be the National NTA, National Roads Authority, have tried to do this for a decade. That's true, they have. Now, it'll legalise scooters and all that sort of cotology, but mind that stuff. That's not the problem. The problem is it's always about safety, right? Everything is about safety. But you notice in the first part of that, they don't mention for a second the new cameras. So what I think is going to happen next is average speed cameras. I think that's the next thing that's going to hit you on the M50. So if you think that you're going to use the M50 gratuitously to actually get where you want to go at a reasonable speed, they have another thing coming. There might be, an instance where you need to spend more money to go up and down the M50 because the toll bridge certainly doesn't make enough money for the M50 to be repaired. Not at all. Also today we're going to talk about a few other things. So I came across this website a few years back, which is absolutely brilliant. It's from the NUI Galway. So I'm just going to cut to that. NUI Galway here. So this is your local authority. How is your money spent? We're going to go through that today because interestingly I noticed in Laois, if it'll open up, there it goes. In Laois, the budget has 78.4 million or 925 per person. And if you forget about housing for a second, just look at roads. Look at that, 24.3% of that goes on road maintenance. Only 1.7% on public lighting. And traffic management is less than 1%. Road safety and promotion, 5.1%. Tiny proportion. But if you compare that council, that spending, with someone like Kildare, who's our neighbour, the next county over from us, right? And you go back to roads, look at that. Kildare spends nearly half what Laois does on just roads, which I find really strange, since Kildare would be a really busy county when you think about how many times we go up and down an N7, a massively busy county, but Laois spends nearly double on road maintenance. I wonder why. Is it bogs or what's going on? Anyway, I just thought I'd have a good today. Go says the best haircut in YouTube award goes to bobflavin. No, there's better than me for sure. I've seen that. But the most just wandering about doing whatever it wants to do hair award could possibly go to me, right? Because that's kind of the way it runs here, which is kind of interesting the way it is. Good to have you all. Thank you all. We're settling into it now. Now there's 100 people here, so we try and share it out and click on the like button, if you wouldn't mind. A little thumbs up down the bottom. It doesn't, it's not going to warn the whole world that you're watching a live stream. It's some gratuitous way. It just alerts YouTube that something's happening. They tend to share it out on the pages and let everybody else do it. Mark Turner Smith says, good afternoon all, hope we're all well and safe. We are so far anyway. UK lockdown number 2 dragging on. December the 2nd seems so long away. Yeah, no, we're still dragging. We're coming out with tomorrow. Well, not first, it's supposed to be kind of Tuesday, but I think mostly I would say that this lockdown has been pretty much ignored. Traffic didn't fall away. I didn't notice any difference in traffic on the road. I was out yesterday, went up to Slieve Bloom yesterday for a walk around, and there was traffic all along the road. Plenty of people going all over the place. There was guard at checkpoints and who were just kind of waved through. Nobody seems to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing this time. Andy McPhee says there's a video reminiscent of the old Top Gear haircut while driving around a racetrack. Oh, there's a video idea. Yeah, get a haircut while driving around Mondello or something. Yeah, that'd be good. Actually, I'm on Rally School Ireland's TikTok page as well. So just in case you're wondering, I'm answering questions on their TikTok page, which will be back tomorrow. And we got a good competition as well. It'll be worth going over to check it out, to be honest with you. It's going to be a good competition. Guess how many helmets are in a car. And I have some video and stuff. Anyway. Andy FX7, good afternoon all, hope everyone is ready for the shopping chaos post lockdown. Lots of pent up demand offline. This is also a problem there, Andy, when you think about it, right? Because we're all supposed to be socially distant. We're all sitting back in each other's house going, oh no, I'm not going out, I'm not going to. And you know what happened to me the other day was that Amazon, I had to order something from Amazon. I always try and avoid it wherever I can, but I had no choice but to get this. And so Amazon said to me, it was actually this. You see that bracket, this not the camera bit, this is just an old GoPro, but it's connected to this double sucker pad thing, so I had to order that thing. I think it was £17 or something. Anyway, I needed one, And so I put the order together, put it in, and then they offered me 30 days of Amazon Prime for the next 30 days. Now I don't necessarily want to watch the video and the stuff, but Amazon Prime is next day delivery essentially on Amazon. So how do you compete with that as a local retailer? Just seen this morning on Instagram, there's a local pub not far from where I am. It's called the Bog Road, and that's not long open. It's only a couple of years open, and they're not going to reopen. They're not reopening that pub this lockdown because they know they're going to go back into another lockdown in January. So there's just no point in ramping this pub back up again. So they've closed. So that won't be the only one, I don't think. And that wasn't exactly a very busy pub. It was busy enough to have enough jobs there. That they'd start carvery lunches and all that sort of, one of those kind of pubs, and they're not opening it again. So that's kind of frightening when you see that thing happening. But how does local business compete with Amazon Prime? I mean, seriously, I can click and collect now. I got an Alexa the other day as well. We put one into the house. I relented for one for years, but one came up on a Black Friday deal. Very reasonable with a subwoofer thing involved. And it's absolutely awesome sound from the thing. And it was delivered here in 24 hours. And guess what it does? When you stand there, you go, you want to create a shopping list. And you create a shopping list on the Amazon Alexa thing. And it just dispatches it. I didn't even know this is possible. It's crazy stuff like. I just wanted one because they're very reasonably priced, and you can just ask it to do things and turn on radio stations instead of having to press buttons or connect up iPads to stream stuff or whatever, Eric Rocher's in the house. Good to have you, Eric. The Singing Shade. Hi, Bob. Watched your review of the MX-30 is a little behind at times with the ICE platform, and range and rear seats seem a bit cramped. It looks as good as the CHR alternative, but is it? There's a market for this shorter range electric car. So the market would be people who will be charging every day anyway. There are people who will just drive maybe not every day. They're driving short range and they don't mind home charging pretty regularly and all. Whereas the other end of the market is the really expensive end of the market, and it really, to go long range in electric cars, you just have no option but to go towards the Tesla end of the market, which makes you very expensive, I think. For what you get a lot of stuff in a Tesla for sure, but you don't get everything. You don't get all the good stuff. So you've got that choice of how far you want to go with MX-30. You decide that you want to just do a commute every day that's going to be 50, 60, 70, 80 kilometers the whole time and nothing else. And that's kind of where those things go, because you only charge once a week or maybe twice a week. Maybe you charge up for the weekend and go. And you're not a person who wants to do the classic journalist thing of drive to Cork and back in the same day. You're not one of those. You just want to drive home from work. So the MX-30 works, but those little SUVs, I think, is where I think we're going down a dead end on those little SUVs for electric cars. I think we need to make small, compact, efficient cars that just drive us to work and back. They don't have to be involving and nice and fast, and you don't have to do any of that sort of stuff. It just needs to get you to work and back, and that's, I think, more what we should be concentrating on, rather than this idea of having a small SUV or a high seating position. I mean, you look at that CHR is the same thing, MX-30 is the same thing, and all the stuff that's come out lately from all the major car companies have all been crossovers. Like, all the EQC range from Mercedes, the e-trons, they're all big SUVs or crossovers of some sort. So it's a very strange system they're trying to go through. I was discussing it because I found these Nokias. I found that Nokia. There's another one over there as well, in case you haven't seen that one. Real blast and pass stuff. We were discussing it last night, and we were trying to figure out on a live stream I don't know what I was streaming on. We were trying to figure out who's the next Nokia, what next company in the world could be Nokia, and I really do think it's going to be a car company if they don't modernize their ways very quickly. I think one of the car companies is going to go zip, gone. Or maybe not. Hopefully maybe not. Paddy Puncheroo, hey Bob, what model Garmin watch is that? This one that I'm wearing right now is a Garmin 235, but I think the one you get in the shop is called 245, the one currently brand new one. But they're essentially the same watch, so be careful that you're not paying well over the odds for essentially the same thing, same systems, same everything. It's able to record running, marathons, half marathons. It's able to do cycling, and it can do indoor running and indoor cycling, and not a swimming watch. So it's not a triathlon watch. It's the only difference between all of them. And that strap comes off eBay. Costs me about $3, $4. Perfectly good strap. Never had a problem with it. Fits it perfectly. Looks like the original. I still have the original around here somewhere. I do find Garmin watch, if you're looking for running watches, Garmin still would be where I would be. Now I know there's a few ones that go after Polar, would be another one to look at, but they're very expensive, I think. And I think the current range of Garmin watches are really expensive. So be careful what you're buying, because they're pretty pricey these days. But Garmin 235 is mine, 245 is the latest version of it, and they're all basically the same. It all runs through the Garmin app. Like, there's an app on your phone that just pulls into Bluetooth. I've turned off all notifications. It is a smartwatch. You can use it as a smartwatch. I mean, it'll give you notifications, tell you about your emails and things, but I just turned it off because it was driving me absolutely insane, because just this constant vibration on your wrist was like, I get enough notifications on my phone, but I get on my bleeding wrist as well. I'm loading up my Garmin app, which is this thing. That's the Garmin app. Can you see that on the screen? You can, yeah. So you get the Garmin app. It tells you your mileage. I've only done 916 steps there. I've been literally sitting here in the computer all day long. I'll go for a run in the afternoon. But it's pulling in the information from the watch all the time right now. Robert Doyle, hi Bob and gang. Hope everyone's safe and well. Xmas running around the corner. This year's flown by. It is. I've only got 3 cars to Christmas, I think, which is, I count my weeks by how many cars are left before the end of the year. I will probably have, I'll have a Honda E tomorrow I'm picking up for a few days, then I have a Mercedes, then I think I have a BMW, and then I think of a Toyota, and that's it to the end of the year. So I think there's only 3-4 cars left for the whole year. So it's going to be a weird end to the year, a weird end to the whole year. I can't wait for it to be gone and be behind us, and start looking ahead to something else, because right now looking ahead is quite difficult, because every time you make a bloody plan, a lockdown happens, or someone gets in the way of that plan, or something happens that knocks the plan off kilter, and then you're kind of screwed straight away. It's weird. It's very weird. YouTube views are down for everybody as well. In case you're a YouTuber, you're worried about your views dropping. At this time of the year, it does drop, but people do other things to try and get into the whole information society out there, not looking at YouTube stuff. But that's what happens as well at this time of the year. It really does. Now, I've created a link on my bio somewhere here on YouTube. Did you see? Is streamerlinks.com/bobflavin if you're looking to get some ideas for Christmas, for things to buy for the car person in your house. And I put a link on Amazon for this. It's the AlcoSense, right? So this is it's a really good product. It's basically a breathalyzer. That's all it is a breathalyzer, and it does it by colours. So you blow into the tube, sir, and it comes up with the colours, whether you're over or under. And at this time of the year, I know none of you guys would ever drink drive, but at this time of the year, you get up the next morning and you take a little chance, and you're in the yellow. You know, you might not be drunk, but you're in the yellow part. You may feel perfectly, but that thing is actually able to detect alcohol pretty well, pretty much as good. And it is a blow-in tube on this side, and it goes right through the system and comes out the other side. And it's a what's called a deep lung system. And that link comes from streamerlinks.com/bobflavin and take you over to the Amazon link for it. Impossible to get an Irish link for it. I don't know why, but it's impossible to do that. It's impossible to get supply here in Ireland for something that's built in England, but that's okay if you want to do that. And then another one is this fixed thing, which is from the US, but you need to order that this week if you want that thing. That's also there as well. It's an OBD2 reader. Just check on the website for compatibility with your car, but other than that, it's a simple OBD2 reader, and you can get that as well. It's only $20 if you want that one, but you need to order that really soon, otherwise they're not going to make it before Christmas. How I think I read the ID3 is already best on EV in Europe. Yeah, well, I'd kind of ignore some of the figures you're seeing right now, because it's very distorted. And I don't mean distorted in a bad way. I don't mean that we should just go, no, electric cars, a lot of crap, they're not selling. It's right now, deliveries are the problem, because a lot of the electric cars are being pre-sold, which is something Tesla started doing. You know, you go to the website and you go, I like Tesla, click, 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 and suddenly you pay the deposit on it, and it's there. And that's how they're pre-selling a lot of stuff. So what's happening right now is other car companies are tracking up on that. They're trying to figure out how to get that on their system. And Volkswagen did that for the ID3. So they opened pre-booking for the ID3. And so what you're looking at now is deliveries happening for ID3. Instead of that's not actually people walking into a dealership and going, here's my hard-earned cash. That's people who pre-ordered a car, now it's getting delivered. So you're seeing that as, but yes, I totally agree. ID3 is our car of the year here, so I've no problem. It's a great car, but those figures are very distorted by pre-orders and pre-regging and pre-this and pre-that, and trying to get stock of things, and it's all going out. So we'll see. I think probably we'll have a better idea how the market is going in general, not just electric car, but how the market is going in general by probably March or April next year. I have a feeling these lockdown things will just go chunk and they'll finish and they'll be done, and they're not going to lock down again, because I think it's murdering businesses of all kinds. I think there's a load of business at home who now are looking at the end of the COVID payments. You know what I mean? They're looking at the end of that and actually having to reopen again. And that's scary. That's scary as a business, because you reopen, you spend your money on putting in dividers and, you know, masks, and training your staff on washing hands and tongs and wrapping stuff in plastic, and then the government comes along and no, you have to close again. It's a big investment. It's very hard for a company to continue running like that, you know. So I don't know where that's going to go, and I think the same applies for car companies. I think they're looking at their feet going, who are these people going to buy our cars if nobody has any money? Paul O'Connor, just on, can you rewind 3 minutes? No. Derek Norris, we're alright, we're 20 minutes in now. God, am I 20 minutes behind you already? Okay. There's a lot of you here, but it's not as many as it would normally be, so I'd say it'll calm down over time. Normally I can predict what you guys are going to be like. I knew today was going to be quiet though, because it's just I think it's a weird day, a weird time of the year. And this is the last, we're going to have a Christmas special Sunday service during December. Probably the week before Christmas Day will be whatever that Sunday is, which I must put in my calendar actually. Whatever the Sunday is on before Christmas Day, I'm going to do a Sunday service Christmas special, which will be the 20th of December. So that will be a Christmas special version of this. Just, I don't know what we'll do. I haven't figured it out what the special bit is. But we'll do something. It'll be fine. I'll make it up as we go along. Derek Norris here, and the FX7. There will be a lot of NI shoppers coming south, methinks. I actually seen a picture or an article somewhere. Now it might have been just now Facebook making up, but they were advertising a bus service from the north of Ireland to the south of Ireland, because we would be out of lockdown. Our shops would be open again, and they were going to send everybody from lockdown up in Northern Ireland come down to the south to do water shopping. Lads, it's gas. Really is. The idea of locking down is mad. Like, I was in a shop last night, there's two men standing there with their kids and not a mask between them. They'd given up. I find a lot of people have given up the idea of masks as well. Social distancing after a minute or two, you know, people stand a little bit further apart and they talk, and then they get closer and closer and closer and end up standing beside each other anyway. So I think that we've had a change of leadership. Micheál Martin's in charge now, and of course there's hardly any communication coming out of his office. We're not all in this together anymore. Now we're kind of, they're in it and we're in it, but not at the same time. And I've been watching I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out Here. That's really good this year. I think that's really funny this year. It's much better than it was. And that's why I'm thinking of social distancing, because they're all in Wales, in a castle in Wales. But they were locking down for 2 weeks before they started. Andy McPhee says, when ROI was in lockdown and Northern Ireland wasn't, there was a week. There for a week, the place was gridlocked daily for a full week, with folk crossing the border with zero guard about. All the shopping comes first. That's money. Spending money seems to come before everything, doesn't it? It's just weird how we've put so much emphasis on buying new stuff all the time, not reusing what we have or being happy in each other's company. No, that's the end of it. It's gotta be bought. We gotta buy stuff, spend money, and have our big Christmas stuff. Weird how it pans out, isn't it? Peter Cupid is here. Thanks, Peter. Mikhail Stobansky. One thing I miss from Republic of Ireland is Christmas FM. It's online. You can get it online. Christmas FM on TuneIn Radio if you want to get it there. I have TuneIn Radio on my phone, which Siri does jump into every once in a while to play stuff. If you install Apple Music, don't pay for it. Just install it. You don't have to buy it. And then ask Siri to play BBC Six Music or play Christmas FM or whatever. She just uses TuneIn to do it for you, so you can do it in the car. It's deadly. So you can just play Christmas FM by the internet. So it's worldwide now. It's good, isn't it? Alex Theodore, looking at the Seat Leon as my next car. Have you driven one and wondering which one, the petrol engine, the best fuel economy power combination? Are you looking at the brand new one? Are you looking for an older one? I own a Seat Leon generation 2. And they're all pretty good in their own way. The newer one is okay, just stay away from the F4. The suspension's very firm in that. There is reviews of it on my YouTube channel. You want to flick about there, just look for Seat Leon. There's loads of them there. That was for Alex. I can't pronounce your name. It looks Cyrillic. Is that what you call the Russian language? It looks Cyrillic. Yeah. Hi Bob. I saw a Car Wow video yesterday where they tested a real range of small electric cars. I would put real range in quotation marks there. Just so you know, because everybody's different. I've had people who've driven a very long way in electric cars, and I've driven a very long way in electric cars, and you get two completely different results in the same car. And I've had people who tell me the PHEV of the Peugeot 508 outside the door is 40 kilometers, but yet the dashboard says 20, and I'm lucky to get maybe 15. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we'll go on. I couldn't believe my eyes how many kilometers out of Zoe did. I recommend you watch that video. I haven't seen it, but I've seen it of it, yeah. What overall opinion on electric small cars? Because for me, my opinion completely changed them after that video. I don't know. My opinion's not changing because I've driven all the cars that they've driven that thing, apart from the up electric, I think. The small electric car is the only way to go, I think, at the moment, right? You can, if you want to go far, right, you want to go either a long way using a lot of batteries, because batteries never get any lighter, so you're still going to be the same weight on the other end of the journey, or you can recharge more often. That's the only at the moment, the only two real ways of making this work. You can do things aerodynamically, you can do things with efficiencies, you can make things a little bit better. But realistically, if you want to go a long way, you either use a lot of batteries or you recharge more often. That's your only two options. So when you drive, nobody does it in petrol and diesel cars. What CarWow is doing is to get clicks, right? But nobody does that in petrol and diesel cars. Nobody gets a stack of petrol and diesel cars together and drives them until they're out of fuel. Right? You don't do that because no one would watch it, because it'd be boring, and because refilling them is going to take 10 minutes just to go back the way we came. Whereas electric car, the jeopardy's there of running out of electricity. Which one run out of electricity first? Let's see them do it with a diesel car and see how far they get, right? So if you want an electric car to drive to work every day, you literally just figure out your fuel economy for the year, how far you drive on a regular occasions, and then pick the car that goes that range. I mean, pick the car that can do that, so you only have to charge once every 3 days. That would be the best. That would be the ideal way of doing it, rather than have to consider thinking about how far I want to go. I want to go the longest range I can possibly do, but my average commute is 30 kilometers. Well, why do you want to go, why are you buying a car that can do 500 kilometers when your average range is 30 kilometers? Why don't you just buy an electric pedal bike or something? It'll do the same distance. But nothing CarWow did in that would be remarkable for me. But for the small electric cars, I've said on my own channel, the Renault Zoe is probably one of the best, let's say, efficient cars you can possibly get. That's pretty much what it is. It ticks all the boxes. It's not exciting, it's not phenomenal, it's not revolutionary, it just gets on with the job. And that's kind of what you want from those electric cars. Remember, you want things that are going to replace the Avenzas or the standard ordinary thing a man would have bought to drive to work and back. That's what electric cars should be doing. They shouldn't be revolutionizing the world, essentially. They should be trying to get on with being efficient. Shot forward there. Hold on a second. Zach O'Sullivan's here. Hi, Zach. Eric Rocher, I'd be glad to hand back to Peugeot and get into something different. Peugeot, that 508 wouldn't be the top of my list of cars anyway. I don't mind, it's a good car, but it's got a lot of electrical problems, and I just can't, unforgivable things like the when you reverse, right, in a cold morning, the reversing camera comes on, you reverse, then you go into first, so you go into D, and the reversing camera stays on, but it stays on as a photograph of the last thing you saw. And as you're driving off, it's still a photograph. Nothing's happening. And you can't touch the air conditioning system because that's on the touchscreen, and now it's broke. And after a few minutes, it'll pop back off, but it'll be a few minutes before that goes away. And then randomly, the left window opens. Just opens. Just as you're driving along, it just goes zzz, just opens beside you. And other times, it just goes down a little bit and goes back up and down, and a little bit back up. It's just so many little things. Oh, it just annoys me. And the small steering wheel really annoys me. So it's like, yes, I'd like to give it back now, because the longer you have a car you don't like, the more you begin to hate it, until it's like, I just want to burn this car. But it's not that bad now. But it's a great car to drive. I wish to put in a normal steering wheel and some electrics that properly work. Murphy says, hey Bob, well, how's you gutting? I'm alright. You're competing with Fairy House versus George. I'm always competing with something. Way now, hiking with the dogs. I'll watch you later. That's okay, thanks. I don't compete with anything, to be honest with you. I have an audience that comes along, and we have Formula 1 some weeks, it's Fairy House another week, it's Ruby some weeks. It just happens. It's always here. You can always watch two things at once, unless your brain doesn't work that way. Mine does. I prefer to be watching 5 or 6 things at once if I can, and just paying a little bit of attention to each one. It's kind of weird that way. I'm kind of weird that way. Professor Thaddeus McGillicuddy. That sounds nearly fake. Anyway, hi Bob. Do you think in 20 years the majority of cars in Ireland will be automatic or the Irish market stay manual? No, they're all going automatic. A lot of car companies won't offer manual cars in the next few years, I would imagine, apart from the bottom end of the range, the very entry level stuff, or the very small car where it's just not economically viable to have an automatic version, because automatics are still a little bit more expensive than manuals, a little bit, but the difference between the two of them now isn't very much. Automatics were seen, and this was a European thing, they were seen as very inefficient. They use more fuel, they were less reliable. If an automatic gear, if say third gear in an automatic went, that's the end of the gearbox in an automatic. You couldn't fix just one gear, but who fixes one gear in a manual gearbox? But manuals are actually more reliable over the years. So for the next 20 years, because we're going electric, because that doesn't have a gearbox anyway, there's no gearbox. Well, you can have a gearbox, but there isn't really one, not like the old-fashioned normal gearbox. Because we're going in that direction, I think that will happen naturally over the years. But cars are very expensive at the moment. That's my main concern right now, is there's not much value for money in a new car on the market today, really. There's lots of competition, but if you take away 5 years worth of competition, you go back a few years, you see that everything's gone up by $5,000, and electric cars are distorting the market entirely now, as they're bringing up the price of electric, or bringing up the price of petrol and diesel cars to closer where electric is. And PHEVs are not as CO2 efficient as it should be, although that seems to be always the bloody way. There's always, they're not as green and clean as they should be. Oh, we should get rid of them. Oh my god, they're not safe. Safety, you're losing all your freedoms to safety, lads. That's pretty much all the time. Brendan Duffy, afternoon Bob and everyone, hope we all had a good week. Was looking at getting a newish car, a Volvo S90, about 2017, 2018. What do you think of them? Yeah, they're a good car. They're a nice car. They're really big. Like, they're bigger than they actually look on the outside. They're a lovely car to drive, the S90s. They're unusual. They're very safe and a little bit numb to drive. So that's okay though. That's quite normal for things to be numb like that. The Volvo gods of Volvo tend to make things very safe and don't really worry so much about the driving end of it. They all drive okay. Brilliant on a motorway. If you do high mileage on a motorway, superbly comfortable. Every single one of them. Expensive when they go wrong though, mind you. Niall Powers, watched Tyson fight last night. No, I didn't. Was Mike Tyson? Tyson was fighting. Is he not in his 50s or something? I know nothing about boxing, but I know of Mike Tyson, yeah, for sure. There's Kyo's car valeting in the chat. Hi, Trevor. Brian O'Donnell. Hi, Bob. Hope all it is so far. Matthew Fox, smash that thumbs up button, y'all. Thanks, Matthew Fox. Yes, you should. You should click the like button. It'd be very good if you did. 58 likes out of 151 concurrent viewers. It's a bit low, isn't it? Robert Doyle said Bob, Kildare roads are actually absolutely dreadful, I have to say, especially the back road into the town from the Equestrian Place to Newbridge. I know the road, I know that one's the Curra Road. I've walked it and ran it and cycled it and driven it. Grew up there. Ger Sharp, hi Bob, any thoughts on the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid? Some bad reports during the week about actual real life benefits. Plug-in hybrid, so I've done a lot of plug-in hybrids, in fairness, over the last while, as car companies find ways to try and get more life from an old engine, or more life from an older car that's on its way out. John Coleman, thank you very much. You're a gentleman. He sent me money there by PayPal. Thank you very much for that. You're very kind. There's loads of links down below if you want to support channels similar, or you can do super chat if you wish as well. But plug-in hybrids right now are getting a bad rep, and I've seen even stuff today on RTE. It was on our Facebook page, on the Sunday Service Facebook page, where they were showing that they're not as ecologically sound as they should be. But if you're buying a car for it's ecologically sound, you're not doing the right thing at all, because there isn't any cars that are ecologically sound no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if they're electric or hybrids, or it doesn't matter. None of them are actually ecologically sound, because all of them are making new things all of the time. So making a new thing is not ecologically sound if you're not going to eat it. That's the only way to make something ecological. So buying it for its fuel efficiency is a clever idea, because you're going to save yourself money, right? Buying it because it's reasonably low CO2, that's okay. But if you make a rule, so if you say that the tax bands are like this, and if you have this amount of CO2 in your car, and then you said that's your level, you're going to be in that tax band, then car companies will achieve that. It doesn't matter what you do. You said tax band A had to have this much CO2, so the car company comes out with a car that has that much CO2. They're in business. They're not here to save the planet. If they were saving the planet, they'd all shut the doors. That's how you save the planet right now, is not make any more of them. But they're there to sell cars. So if plug-in hybrids are as fuel efficient as you drive them. But if you can make a plug-in hybrid work really well and be on electricity the whole time, you probably should have bought an electric car anyway. Like, really, you're driving an electric car. You're only putting off your sort of move to electric on a longer term. But if you're buying an electric car right now, I would wait until sort of middle next year, at least the first quarter of next year, when we're going to have the update will be done to ID3, ID4 will be on the way, the Skoda Enyaq will be on the way. We're going to have more efficient PHEVs, we're going to have longer range PHEVs. If ever anyone in the Department of Transport like Eamon Ryan puts his finger out of where it shouldn't be, we will end up with cars that are less taxed. We need to get cars more reasonably priced. We cannot expect someone to come out of a 10-year-old car worth €1,000 into a €50,000 car for the next 5 years. It's just not possible. So it's insane to even think like that. But the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid they're great cars, lovely car to drive. But the Kia e-Niro is also a lovely car to drive. It's a full electric. Hellhound is here. Hey up, Bob and Flavin. It's far and near. Thank you. Hope we're all well. So far, so good. Quiet day as usual. Now things I think are settling down. People are settling into the idea of going back to work tomorrow, I think. And then the UK is still in lockdown as well, which are also part of the audience here. They're still going to be in lockdown for the next 2 or 3 days, aren't you? Till the middle of the week or something. Anony Mouse, good name, but he retracted his message. Jersh, no, that was Jersh Sharp. We did that. Mixly, LT, YouTube. I don't know what that is. Good name. You should get normal usernames, by the way. Martin Hogan. Hi Bob. The Seat Elborn seems to have been scrapped in favour of the Cooper version. I noticed that. Is it just planned to delay the cheaper model by VW? Do you think the Seat Elborn will eventually come out in 2021? It will come out. It will come out for sure. Right now, there's just everything is different and new. The whole turmoil of the world is kind of just cascaded over into everything. So what they're trying to do is plan. And the biggest hold up right now for all of these cars is battery technology, because car companies don't make batteries. They don't manufacture them themselves. Car companies make engines. Honda is an engine manufacturer that just wraps it in a certain kind of a car, but they actually make engines for other people. Fiat makes all of its money by selling diesel engines into vans and into cars. Like, they don't really sell a lot of cars when you think of it. All their stuff is coming from the commercial end of things. So you've got all these engines that are actually made by car companies, but car companies don't manufacture the batteries that are required, or even most of the engines that's required, or motors that's required for electric cars. So they're relying on people like Siemens in South Korea, or they're relying on a Chinese company to try and pull together the stuff that they need to make the engines. But everybody all of a sudden is looking for batteries. Every car company, not just car companies, everybody's looking for battery stuff. So there's a lag between the two, trying to figure out how many they want to sell, whether they're going to rob Peter to pay Paul, which is what Volkswagen Group would do. I mean, if Volkswagen Group were to release the ID3 now, Skoda Enyaq, ID4 and Seat Elborn all at once, who are they going to steal the market from? Themselves for the ID3? Would they not be better off waiting with the ID3, selling a few of them, and then going, right, we've learned our lesson, Elborn, out you go. And that's it. It's to try and keep that market moving all the time, try and figure out something for each one. But we will see it. Elborn is not shelved completely. I think a mistake was made to separate Cupra from Seat. I think they looked at what Citroen was doing when they separated DS from Citroen. And now I think DS might regret being separated from Citroen, because nobody knows what it is anymore. And I think the same thing will kind of happen to Cupra, that we're all used to a Leon Cupra. We're all used to a Cupra Ateca or a Leon Ateca or whatever. Any of those words are all in there, and we associate it all with Seat. The problem for Seat is in Google Analytics, in the modern term of Google Analytics, the names of their cars don't make sense because it's Seat. Right, so Google goes Seat in Alhambra, which is a place. Alhambra is a place, right? So it's a city. So is Leon, right? That's a city as well. They always name them after a city in Spain. So a Seat, the next thing you call is a Seat Barcelona. That doesn't make any sense, right? That's essentially you're asking Google to show you a Seat in Barcelona. So it's really hard. They've changed it to capital letters and done all that sort of stuff, but it's very hard for them to get traction on the internet with those kind of things because it doesn't show up in the analytics. And that's also caused problems. But so that was the idea of moving Cupra all to itself, so we call it Cupra Ateca, which would be a totally different thing, or Cupra, whatever the other thing was called. The began with an F, Fermentor, that thing. So they're trying to get some way to make Google pay attention to them. That's the thing of what's going on at the moment. Annie McPhee says Argos does same day delivery for several years now in an attempt to bite back from Amazon. Argos, I'd say, is pretty close at this stage to being to being the Nokia. You know that whole printed catalogue and online stuff and online shopping and stuff, they're direct competitors. Argos' direct competition is Amazon. Only Amazon don't have any shops to support with staff and things to have hanging around. You know, there's Argos here in the town as well. And you walk in, you can get anything you want pretty much if it's in stock. But all the reservation things online and collect and click and collect and all that sort of stuff, that needs to be addressed, because if they don't, I just suspect that Amazon will pilfer that market eventually as well. Because, I mean, while you're in Amazon, the worst part of Amazon is it's not very good at suggesting things to you. I find it really bad. You go in, you look at something, and, you know, you click open, you see what it is, and then it shows you 50 variations of a product, and then you get so confused you don't buy any of them. That's what happens to me all the time. I'm getting delivery within 3 days of a load of Irish suppliers. Yeah, Irish suppliers are really good. I always try to find things in Ireland, but 99% of the time, yeah, I have to go for the cheaper deal. You have to go for the same product somewhere else, and some of the stuff that I get is camera gear, and that's really hard to get in Ireland at any kind of reasonable rate. And to give you an example of that, I was looking at a camera the other day, a Canon EOS R was what I was looking at, and with the lens in this country it's nearly €4,000, and on Amazon it's just a shade over €2,000. Like, it's nearly half price. Same camera, same lens, same everything, no difference whatsoever. Just more competition there, and it's very hard to justify it when you're looking at the Irish price of it and you go, well, I'd love to support Irish suppliers, but if they're not getting ripped off, I don't. Hi Bob, thoughts on Fiat Panda 4x4? Brilliant car. Off-road, absolutely phenomenal. Unstoppable, as every bit unstoppable as any other 4x4 in the market. Unfortunately, the fuel tank's a bit small, and it's a bit hard on fuel, particularly in the twin air version of it, so be careful of that sort of thing. But if you buy the diesel Panda 4x4 yoke, you will be able to ford every stream and climb every mountain. You can put a snorkel on the side. They look super cool. My favourite looking car in the last decades is a Panda 100 horsepower. I think it's gorgeous. I can't explain why it's so stupidly nice looking, but it is though. It really is. I really like the thing. Where was it? Eric Roger, online trying to support Irish but not always possible. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I have now got 30 days of Amazon Prime, and I find myself browsing the most random tat that you can ever think of on Amazon Prime, because quite literally you go click and the next day, ding dong, it's amazing, you know. And like, I had to ship, unfortunately the way this country works, it's thick as two planks, because you can't buy batteries online, right? So if I go to Amazon directly and I click on a thing, I want a 10,000 milliamp hour battery charger, or I want what I ordered yesterday, which is these things, batteries for a GoPro, right? These are little square cube battery things for a GoPro. There it is, a GoPro logo on the bottom of it, yeah. And so that just powers, I have loads of them, it powers a GoPro, but I wanted to buy a new battery charger for those. So a separate little thing that's able to charge 2 batteries at a time, really straightforward, but it comes with 2 batteries as well. So now I have about 9, if anybody ever needs a battery for a Hero 3, I have about 9 of them sitting here. But I couldn't bring it by Amazon normal. It would not ship to this country. I could only use AddressPal, which is run by On Post, but they give you a UK address to go to. So I sent it to the UK address, and it's still not here. And like Amazon Prime, I can have it in 24 hours, and it's nearly 4 days now, and I still haven't got it from AddressPal. But because of the way the batteries, you can't ship batteries for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Martin Gunter Moore, good afternoon Bob, great channel, thank you. Questions from Amsterdam, I love Amsterdam. I'm considering a new Golf, the Octavia. I thought you guys were all bicycles and V8s in Amsterdam. Everybody drives a V8 now. Consider a new Golf, the Octavia or the Leon. I know you're an Octavia fan. Which is elegant, but large? Which one would you go for? I would go for an Octavia Estate. That's the one I would go to pretty much every time. Leon Estate is a tiny bit smaller and a little bit more sporty. And the Golf Estate, I'm not keen on the look of the Golf. The front of the Golf is not, like I say, 80% of happy ownership is looking at the car from somewhere else and going, that's a cool car. That's not a cool, doesn't look like a cool look. It's a good car, but it's just not a great look. The Octavia is a much nicer thing to drive, and an Octavia Estate looks like a rally support car still, and just buy a standard diesel or petrol, whichever one suits your mileage. But yeah, the last time I was in Amsterdam, taxis were like V8s. That all changed over there now. Everybody gets a caravan on the weekend, or a camper van, and disappears off into France. It's funny driving into Holland towards the weekend, everybody's going out in camper vans. Shane Reddy, 2010 VW Golf, 90 brake horsepower versus 105 brake 1.6 diesel. More brake horsepower is always better, generally. 1.6 diesel is fine. It's a little bit underpowered. It always was. It just doesn't have a rev range to go with what looks like a lot of horsepower. But 105 is more than enough. But that's actually quite low when you think of my Seat Leon as a 1.6 straight petrol, and that's 106 brake horsepower on its own. So that's because of the rev range. It's because it revs higher. But they're a good car, fine car, and they should last you forever as long as you mind that engine. Just make sure you service it properly. Colin McNulty, hey Bob, loving all the random live streams. Yeah, no, just pop up all over the place, see what happens. I'm changing the motor in July. Is a diesel VW RT on a safe bet? I'm worried about buying a diesel. No, don't be worried about buying a diesel, for sure. Don't worry about that part. They're not going to go away that quick. If you own it, it's not going to be a big problem. We just stop the sales of brand new electric or brand new petrol and diesel cars from January. That's what we'll do. But Arteon's a lovely car, really nice. It's kind of a Passat in fancy clothing is essentially what you're buying. It's a little bit bigger in the boot and there's a bit more space here and there, but essentially it's a Passat with a bit more of a price tag on it. So have a look at Passats as well, unless you really like the look of the Arteon as well. Oh, I meant to show you this as well. Giddy Clothing in Kerry are a brilliant company. Chris and the team and all out there made this for me. This comes from TikTok, as a guy said running was for wasters, and I said, well, I'm a waster, you should change your name to Captain Stupid Bollocks. And now it's turned into this, so it's turned into a merch, into a hoodie, which is absolutely lovely. If you want them, it's on streamerlinks.com/bobflavin. Very high quality stuff, by the way. That material it's made of is literally just out of wash a few minutes ago. So if you want something like that, it's on streamerlinks.com/bobflavin. You'll find a link in my bio. I think it's in there somewhere. I don't know if I put it on this week, actually, the link. Maybe I didn't. Check it out, and you'll be supporting the channel as well, because I get a little cut out of that. But they're quite reasonably priced. I think it's $29.99 for a hoodie, and there's also stickers there as well, which just released yesterday. Car stickers for your back window that says Cap's Two Box, or car stickers for whatever reason you want to use them. I wasn't telling to go around and look at people who are parking badly and put it on the window. Not at all. Whoa! I'm just after missing a pile of questions there. Hold on, I'll catch up with this. Aidan McLaughlin, hi Bob, electric Porsche owner from Kent, took 9 hours to drive 130 miles from his home. Why? Charging network very poorly maintained, complicated and difficult to navigate, various apps and payment systems. That's true. It will streamline over time. People are trying to figure out how to make money from it, Aidan. That's the biggest issue for everybody right now. Is if you look at our current infrastructure network of driving from place to place, right? So you get in your car, you have very little fuel, you drive to the petrol station, you put fuel in, you drive on. If you run out of fuel again, you just put more petrol station and you drive back. It's pretty straightforward, right? Now, we're building the infrastructure out to drive from place to place in electric cars, but how you make money from that is difficult, because it costs a hell of a lot of money to put a charge point in. And a fast charge point, 50 kilowatt and above fast charge point, is 15 to 20 grand to put one in. And then you lose a parking space, and you lose the parking spaces both sides of it as well. Especially if you don't fit them properly, or you have to park sideways, because some car companies put the charge point in the back, some is on the front, some is on the side, some have one on either side, some don't have them on the side at all. It's just weird, right? So you lose all kinds of spaces. So a lot of places are not putting in charge points, and then they put in a charge point for the chance that you might use it twice a week. You know, if it's in the wrong place, it might not get used at all. So you rip it out and put it in somewhere else. So we're trying to build that structure out, but the problem is we're building it everywhere we don't really need it, and there's more and more people putting in home charge points that now no longer need those street charge points. And I find around Portlaoise here, I think we have the most amount of charge points per capita in the country now, outside of Dublin, I mean, because there's loads of them here in the town at this stage. But you drive around, there's not a single electric car charging. So who makes money? How can you make money out of that investment of 15 grand in a nice fast charge point, and you plug in your car once a week, and you might charge 2 cars a day, because everybody's charging at home. So where do you get the money from? If we keep asking for infrastructure, but nobody's using the infrastructure when it goes in, so how are we going to fix that? There's our biggest problem. And the same problem for electric Porsche owner from Kent who took 9 hours to drive home. If you get caught out, if I drove to Galway tomorrow in an electric car, which I could do, not this little Honda, it's only a city car, but if I drove out to Galway and got starting on the way back, and I thought I'd hit the charge point on the way back and it's broke, there's only one. I might not make the next one. So what do I do? There's not enough of them, you know. Anonymous. Remember to tell us about Honda E's mirror cameras. I know, I'll remember. Don't fret, I'll remember. It's amazing when you see it. I know it sounds like a madness, but you actually, when you see it and you're looking at it going, I can zoom in. I can zoom in the mirror. How does that work? Bob, will you be reviewing the Suzuki Vitara hybrid anytime soon? I don't see it on the fleet. I've had the Suzuki Vitara. I didn't like it. That's the first thing. I didn't think it was much of a car. That was pretty forgettable, if I'm honest. Which I find strange for Suzuki. They normally make pretty good cars. Their small cars are pretty good, but the Vitara is just an awkward, very old-fashioned feeling. It would want to be dirt cheap. That's all I can say. Raymond Grace, bought my son a 2012 Hyundai i40. How do you rate them? Good car, yeah, for sure. If it's white, he can sit on the side of the road and look like a guard. If not, he may just drive along. But they're good. Yeah, they're good. They're a fine car. They're one of those kind of cars that is very reliable. It gets on and does its job. It doesn't really do a whole lot more. It's not going to be viciously exciting, but yet it manages to take families everywhere you like. It's pretty cool looking as well. It's fine. Garrett Talbot, I got my fixed command this week. Advise anyone who got one not to set up the app account until you have it and ready. You don't set it up yet. Had issues on the Golf Mark 7 set up, sorted out, uninstall the app, started over. Yeah, don't download the app and install it without having the actual device. This came up on TikTok a couple times as well. People ringing up, people texting in to me as if I was able to fix it for them. I don't make the app. And they were asking. The problem they had was it was setting up on a car that was in America because they'd installed the app for the American side before they installed the device, which is this is the little device, this thing here, the OBD2 reader. So they stuck that in, they put on the app, set it up, chose their countries, United States, then suddenly trying to set up a Passat in United States configuration. So uninstall the app and reinstall the app and then Bluetooth back onto the system, and it will detect what country and everything else you need on it. There is a not a configurator, but a list on the site, on the fixed site. You can see if your car is on it, your exact model of car is on it. But even if it's not the exact model of car, it'll still probably throw out the error codes at you as long as it's in the right brand. So like Volkswagen, but if you have a whatever weird Volkswagen that's there and it's not on the list, it'll still give you something. Will you wear your Christmas hat? I will, yeah. Happy Christmas hat around here. It's gone. One of the kids must have taken it. It's around there somewhere. Andy McPhee, yours is in limbo at JFK. Just check with the shipping crowd. The help site on the website gives a lot of good information, and loads. Now I've seen a good few tweets and texts and stuff this week of people setting them up and thanking me and sending me screenshots of error codes I didn't know about, and so there's a lot of them coming in this week. But if I just move out of JFK, just email them or give me your order number and I'll check up on it with my contact, who's a PR. He's not in shipping, but he's in the PR end of it. Maybe to help with that. Stuart McHugh, hi Bob, the back is doing well. Go man, Stuart. Supercharged by a round of steroids during a week. Finally have some life back. Highly recommend a Skoda Kodiaq for anyone suffering back pain on the service. Skoda, yeah, back pain Skoda's a very supportive seats. I always like them, in fairness to them. Bernard Sampson, hi Bob, bit late joining today here now. It's no problem, you're right, I'm way behind you still. But I'm catching up. So keep asking questions. Get together now. Get some questions in there. It's always good to keep it going. Horology blog, that's watches by the way. Would the VRT drop for card under 50 grams of CO2 make most people just get a plug-ins? Why to pay 35% when you can pay 7%? And the likes of Mercedes, BMW plug-ins do well. That's why PHEVs even exist, is because of sort of a tax break between the two. Like 20 kilometers range of PHEV that I have there is just not worth it. It's just so frustrating. You literally leave home, go like yesterday. I left with a full charge yesterday, went to the mountains and came back and it was empty on the way back. It was gone. The charge was gone, and it's not, I don't think it's not even a 10 to 15k round trip, all snaking up through the mountains and on. Not even there. So it's a very strange to feel that PHEV and it's run out, and then you're on a petrol engine, and the petrol engine is not very efficient, so you seem to be burning petrol as well. It's weird. Then I've had it for 6 weeks and still have over a quarter of a tank in it still. Liam O'Connor, Bob, what careers have people got that are driving around in Range Rovers or S-Classes? It's called PCP. It's finance, nothing to do with career. It's literally not their car. The problem the problem right now is people are getting loans, and they probably shouldn't have got a loan for what they're trying to do. So That's an issue. The financial bubble behind PCP is actually quite huge at the moment. It's like it's up around the 2008 financial crash out there. But they say it's okay. It's all right. We're well financed, says everybody. So we see what happens next. But the careers for Range Rovers and S-Classes, anybody can have them. They're not even a fancy car anymore, really. You can buy a Range Rover now on PCP for like $400 a month or whatever it is. People just have that kind of this. But people who work in automotive industry have money, and people who work in Google and places like that have money to burn, it seems. Automotive Martin Brown from Harlow College. Hi, Martin. I talked to you recently over in Harlow College. Beautiful. We did a Zoom call over there. What's the right plant by your ear? Well, that's an aloe vera plant. That's our alien plant. It's a real aloe vera plant. And we had 15 cuttings from an original one. You literally just cut off a leaf and stick it in to another plant. It'll just grow another aloe vera plant out of it. If you cut the leaf, if you pull a leaf open, aloe vera just comes out and you put it straight onto your skin. You can drink it. You can add it to things. It's the pure natural thing. I don't. But I call it my alien. It just keeps me company here. And you don't need to do anything. You don't need to put water in or nothing. Just lay them alone. Stick in water every once in a while. Whenever you just thinking of that. Yeah, I need to water that. It's really dry. Yeah, it's aloe vera. It grows down, so it's very heavy. It'll grow. If I left that alone, didn't touch it, would just grow off down there on its own, like the one downstairs. The mother of all the plants is huge downstairs. And we literally do put it on the kid's skin when they get a cut. We just aloe vera, just fired on. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can. If you're first time here, you've never done before, you can subscribe to here. You can support the channel in multiple ways. The the simple way to do it and the cheapest way to do it is, of course, just hit the subscribe button. But you can also support the channel in multiple ways. Of course, Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fairly skinny this year. But if you want to, you can support the channel by PayPal or Patreon. Patreon is very good if you want to do it that way. Or you can do super chats here. You can do there's multiple ways to do it, or even just buy some of the merch, buy some of the little links that I put up there as well. I put up some dash cams and stuff as well. Now I don't like, there's no discount on them, but it's just Amazon links, which I can't help because you can't get the dash cams in Ireland unless you go to Halfords, and there's no money in Halfords. Electric cars will underestimate their range on the dash. I've ran my petrol lane down to 0 miles, refilled it, and still had 2 litres left, which equates to about 15 miles. Yeah, easily. Yeah, they all do it. They all put in a bit of a safety margin. Petrol, diesel, and electric all do a safety margin. None of them want you to actually run out of fuel. None of them, because it'd be a PR disaster in electric cars. Just PR part. Not a big deal. Just fill it up again and go on. Petrol cars, who cares? It seems to happen all the time and nobody reports it, right? You know what I mean? You see people on the side of the road walking on with their little 2 litre can of petrol or diesel or whatever it is walking on, and nobody takes a picture and goes, look at the car that ran out of petrol, because it's normal. But if it happened to an electric car, you'd have all the media jumping all over it, because they're all waiting for that sort of to stick to digging, because they know people will read it. They know people, I was right about electric cars, they run out of fuel. But it's really not that hard. Most of these electric cars have a slow mode or a nearly empty mode in them as well. I can't remember what they're called. Is it turtle mode or something like that that's in some of the cars that you can put into, and it'll turn off absolutely everything. It'll reduce the speed right the way down. You'll have to limp on to wherever you're going to go next. So electric cars already do it, but yeah, petrol and diesel cars will my missus, she only fills that up when like telepathy or something. The red light is on, the car is out of fuel, 0 miles on the dashboard, and she stick 20 quid in. That never happens. It never runs out of fuel. I don't know what's going on. She seems to be connected with it. She drives around for days with the red light on. The Peugeot steering wheels are automotive Marmite. Yeah, I really wish they'd either pick. The worst part is that I have the Toyota Pro Ace, which is the Citroen Berlingo, right? Or the Peugeot is a Peugeot partner. And they're all the same, and that doesn't have a small steering wheel, and it's delightful, yoke. Really, really nice. One of my latest reviews. It's really, really good. Lovely little van. And you're thinking there, if the Peugeot put in the small steering wheel, I'd hate this van, and yet I love this van. But it's really nice. It's a lovely vehicle to drive around in. I know it's not Toyota. I know Toyota's just got the badge on the outside, but you still get the warranty from Toyota. Don't forget that. Automatic gearbox en route master buses since 1956, last literally millions of miles. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, automotive one. That is true. The automatic gearboxes on buses have been around forever. I still remember we had our school tour was in, what was it? It had velour seats. You know, those old, real old diesel buses. And your man it was an automatic gearbox, but I think it only had 3 speeds in it, because it seemed to go from like the revs up at 5,500 RPM to 0. Like we go, crawl on the road, and it kept going on for ages. I think it only had 3 forward gears, or maybe third was broken, just keeping it in fourth. Cross 13 is in the chat. Didn't see you there, man. How are you? EVs already underestimate range for battery longevity reasons. It's not a good idea to operate at real low charge levels. Every EV in the market lies more at the bottom of the end of the reported charge. I once drove a Nissan Leaf 15 kilometers in turtle mode. There, you see turtle mode. I knew it was there. They have to be. It's the same for your phone. So your phone, you know, when your phone shuts down as if it's out of battery, it's not really out of battery. It's just saving itself. Well, that's Apple devices mainly, but it's just kind of saving itself, so it knocks off the power before it's completely empty. My Mac does the same thing. It'll be working away on it, and then I see the red light come on, and then it cuts out. But as soon as I plug it in, everything's still there. It mines everything for you, so it's not really completely flat, because that's bad for any battery to do that. Not like the old days where the battery used to lose it would die a death. You know, when these old Nokias, like these things, one day it's full, the next day it's empty, and it used to last 3 weeks. You know, that kind of thing. That doesn't really happen as much anymore. Certainly not with electric cars. Electric cars' range now seems to be pretty standard, and even the people that I've interviewed over the last few years who've been driving their own electric cars have said that the range pretty much stabilizes. Their guessometer thing starts to be pretty accurate, and they can pretty much get what it says it's supposed to get. But I still think buying an electric car because of its range, unless you need it, you're kind of spending too much money on the thing you don't really need. Flavin says safety is used to squash a lot of debate in many aspects of working life. You're absolutely true, and that's happening all the time, ever so slowly. More and more of your little freedoms. Oh, I hate to sound like I'm talking about freedom all the time, but more and more of those kind of free moments, the things you can do that there's no consequence for, comes now with a safety message, and then they stop you doing it altogether. You know, don't go near the edge of the waterfall like an idiot because someone fell off it once out of the 1,000 people here. So we're going to erect the fence. So now we only see half the waterfall, and then the fence falls down, and then the person building the fence is responsible. It's just this never-ending cycle of safety stuff, and that's what's happening to the M50 now. That I covered that story when I worked in the Indo, and that was 5 or 6 years ago, and I covered that same story where they were going to put in average speed cameras. They want to bring the speed limit so they could adjust it down to 60, which is active monitoring of traffic. So the idea is the active camera that knows what's happening way off ahead is able to slow the traffic down that's way up at Drogheda, bring it down to 60, let the accident or the collisions clear, and then they could improve the speed over time. But realistically, they've had those active cameras for a long time in Dublin, and realistically they don't work. They just don't work. People aren't quick enough to work on them. The time they spent trying to put them together just doesn't work either. So it's a really odd thing to see if this ever works, and I think the M50 is a disaster zone. Really, it's the exits on the M50 that's causing all the hassle now, and particularly Ballymount, where you're driving a gargantuan amount of traffic into a very small kind of 2-lane weird quirky junction at the top with a weird roundabout on it. It's all very strange in that area, and that's causing hassle. And then Sandyford is the other one, which is also causing its own kind of hassles. Brian Rusk, hi Brian, what's crack, man? Driving to Dublin in diesel 170 kilometers round trip 45 days a week, would an electric be worth it over the diesel? Would I spend my time charging? If you have a home charger and you've got a charger at work where you're going, right, so it's a round trip, you could easily do this in electric cars. That's not a big mileage for electric car for sure, but if you can take the guessing out of the public charge network between the two, so if you know you have a home charger, you know you're charging somewhere near your work as well, and you can do that, you'll have no problem, and you will save a fortune on your diesel stuff because you'll be doing it all in electric. Electric currently is quite cheap, no pun intended on the current bit, but it's currently quite cheap to have electricity, so you could definitely save money. But the problem is electric cars are quite expensive, and if you go for a low range one like Nissan Leaf or something, just cause yourself heartbreak. You'd have to buy, to do that kind of mileage, you'd have to go into the Kia, Hyundai, ID3 will do it as well, Tesla Model 3 will do it as well. Those kind of cars is where you're kind of be stuck going up for, and the value is just not there in those right now. They're still quite expensive, but you could save a lot of money on diesel doing 170 kilometers round trip 45 days a week. As long as it is a round trip, you're starting at a charge point, you're ending at a charge point, you will definitely save money. If you have to charge on the street or use fast chargers, the money that you're saving starts to go down. VW, that sounds good. Hey Bob, new Skoda Enyaq looks brilliant. Yeah, it does. Price went up last night. Realised it got over 50k. It's a bit of a shocker. It is. And if you look at the price, there was a comment after my videos there a couple of weeks ago by a interested viewer who came on to point out that the same car in Germany is was it 12 grand cheaper? It's built there, like exactly the same car, the same spec, same everything about it. It's all tax. 50 grand for, oh lads, 50 grand for any car is a lot of money. When I was a kid, nobody bought a 50 grand car because it didn't exist. Like you could buy a Rolls Royce for 50 grand. Like it's crazy where we've gone with prices. The value of a euro is minuscule in this country particularly. Between VRT and VAT, we are paying an absolute ton of money out in taxes on cars that over the border in the north of Ireland are, 8 or 9 grand cheaper for the same car. And if you start heading over towards Germany or go over to Spain and look at Seat where they're built there, and you see the big difference in prices. It's crazy, like absolutely crazy, especially when you're looking at what we're supposed to replace all our cars with, all these brand new electric cars. David Curran, how are you, Bob? Not a bother, David. Looking for your opinion on 2016 1.4 TSI Golf for 2019 2020 1.5 TSI Golf. Any concern? The 1.4 was probably one of the best engines that Volkswagen ever made, and it was a gorgeous thing. Cylinder shut down, very reliable, very economical, great bit of power of it. Then it transferred over to 1.5 TSI for absolutely no reason whatsoever and got kangarooing issues. The car started to do weird things with the valves opening and closing. They fixed it with a software issue, so be careful, be really careful of that. You'll detect it if you take off in first gear from a junction. So when you let the clutch out, the car will feel like it's going ding, ding, ding. It won't pick up on the power. So that's where the kangarooing issues. I'd sooner buy the 1.4 TSI if I was buying one of those two engines. Other than that, there's no real concerns with the car itself. It's good. They're all pretty reliable. VW, by the way, you got the W reference last week. Not many do. You see, I know what the W is. George W. Bush. W. That's him. He's the dude. See, he's still alive. He is, isn't he? George W. Bush. Wonder what he makes of Trump and all the stuff that's going on in America. I often wonder what ex-presidents make of the current situation of things. Nobody ever seems to really ask them too many questions. Where was I? 2 days into lockdown, into a 2-week lockdown here, Sandy McPhee. No, well, 2-week lockdown. So we're going to be out tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll be out of lockdown and everything back open again. When I say everything back open, not quite everything. Some things will be back open because this is the way we operate in this country. We have these very careful things laid out. Lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're only going to use 3 and 5. We're going to ignore that 4 and 2 exist. We're going to do 3 and 5 most of it. So we might push back down to 3 tomorrow. Or we might go to 2. Or we just might have to. Let's just all do whatever we want to. Or maybe we stay at 5 for another few days. It just depends on who's asking and what's going on at the time. Nobody wants to take responsibility for lockdowns. Nobody wants to come on the TV and say, we have to lock. We all stand together now at level 5. So what they do is they trot out one of the 3 figureheads over the whole thing and try to figure out what they're supposed to say next without actually upsetting anybody. They go, well, Neffet said that we have to lock down, so I'm sorry, we have to lock down. And then Neffet goes, we didn't say have to lock down. It's okay. You can open up some things you want. No, can't do that. Jim Shed, hi Jim. Hi everyone, and Bob, this is Jim Shed, the all new VRS, RS, I should say RS, it's not VRS, not actually a V, by the way, it's Bird. June for release next week. I hope it will fit in a review. If it's here, it will. Looks class, also available in plug-in hybrid Cowhead, very expensive though. They're all plug-in hybrids are very expensive. It's 2 motors. That's what's going on. You got a petrol engine or a diesel engine in the front in the case of Mercedes, and you have another motor either down the back or somewhere in the engine bay, and you got batteries and all that stuff. So you're effectively doubling the price of what you have there just because you're adding more things to it. You're also making it very heavy. That's what I noticed, especially when you get out of a van. It's funny when you get out of a little diesel van, driving around, little 1.5, you go, no, this is lovely. And you get into the Peugeot 508 and you go, what's wrong with the back of this car? There's batteries down there that weighs a ton. That's what's wrong with it. It's weird. But yeah, the RS looks really good. All RSs usually do look good. But again, Skoda will be thinking about their they're 95 grams of CO2. You know, that's where the PHEV is coming from, whether you want that or not. We did have Ronan's BMW, the 3 Series. He mapped it up to 340 horsepower. So maybe you could do that. Just go to RS and make it faster again, you know. Honest truth. I like that. Someone who tells you honest truth. How about, what would you suggest for a cheap, under £9,000 reliable but decent size SUV? Any views in the Vauxhall Antera, for example? Loving this on the service. Cheers. Neil York in the UK. How are you, Neil? I don't really do prices because I don't sell cars. But the Vauxhall Antera now wouldn't be my top spec. They're not bad looking, but I have a problem generally with Vauxhall Opel group when I'm sitting in them. I just think they're overly complicated on the dashboard. But they do make a nice car to drive, anyway, at least. To use, you have to take a bit of time to get used to it. That's the problem with the Antera and all Opels. After a while, it's a bit like Mercedes. You get in first and go, where's the gear stick? It's on the dashboard. It's over here. It just takes a minute to get used to that. And that's same for Tesla and stuff. They've done that as well, that drive thing. For £9,000 though, there's plenty of choice out there. Just pick ones you like the most, the ones you like the look of the most, because that's the one that's going to make you the proudest, really. Fuel economy and all that sort of stuff, that comes later. And reliability is the very same thing. You know, reliability is about history these days. It's about who's had it before you, to make sure that they haven't destroyed it along the way. I just shot forward. Sorry, I missed a ton of things there. And there's the W. Right, mini eggs. Hi Bob, random question. Do you think EVs charge time will be a problem for mass market car hire companies as they all currently have a return with full tank policy fuel at the moment? Just never thought of that. Yeah, I suppose it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, if you're going to hire a car out, it has to come back with a full tank. But then a full tank wouldn't be very much money to spend. Certainly not as much as putting in like €80 worth of diesel into a yoke when you're filling up with electricity and it's like 5 or 6 quid or 10 quid or whatever it is that's filling it up, you know. So yeah, the problem will be, like, can you find a charge point close enough to the hire car company to actually fill the thing up when you bring it back? And do you have to be there 10 hours early or whatever it is to charge the car on a 7.5 kilowatt yoke? So yeah, there will be problems. There will be a lot of logistical stuff to work out, but like hire cars, I'm sure there's plenty of car companies right now hiring out electric cars all over the place, you know. But the problem is investment, and the same applies for a business, like a business owner who gives out company cars. What happens when he gives out electric company cars to people and they get a discount on their BIK, but he doesn't provide any charge points in work? What happens then? Who pays for the charge point? That's where we need to incentivize the charge point, by the way. We don't need more of them on the street. We need more of them in private businesses. We need more of them in industrial parks and things, because that's where these people buy their cars. So most used cars started out as some sort of fleet yoke, you know, they started out owned by somebody. So those people need a place to charge their car. So we actually need to incentivize businesses and tax breaks to say, if you put in a charge point, we'll pay half or something, you know, or you can write off your VAT or something on the charge point. And if they install 10 charge points, they get a special discount. You know what I mean? To encourage more, just 22 kilowatts or even 7.5 kilowatt ones, even like the entry level model would be fine to charge a car for a whole day. You know, you come to work, you plug in, you're there, you're 3/4 charged to go home again if you're empty when you got there, and give them a discount on their electricity bill. Simple stuff to encourage more people to put in charge points. Cross says the efficiency difference on the average EV is so great that versus a 10-year-old diesel, if you put the diesel in the crusher and the manufacturing CO2 cost of a new EV paid down in 4 or 5 years of typical use. Yeah, that's technical. We'll keep that one under the hat. But yeah, you're right. There's no doubt that electric cars in general probably have much lower CO2 output over their lifespan than any petrol or diesel car out there. But you know, not everybody wants electric cars. It's not even a want factor. Not everybody can afford to move to electric cars. We just need to make enough of them that the market becomes 50% electric, and then it becomes a realistic choice for people who want to buy a second-hand car. You know what I mean? That's where we need to be looking at. We need to look at that point of the recycling end of life stuff. When a brand new car owner's finished with their car and it becomes a second-hand car, can somebody afford it? If not, then when does it become an affordable point? And if the market was 50%, then I think it would be all become affordable, and we'd all end up having maybe a second car's electric for a while, and then both cars, or maybe just one car's electric. That's the key. What we don't want to happen is that we actually increase the amount of electric cars, or the amount of cars on the road overall. So if we're at 2.5 million, we don't want 3 million cars. We need to have less cars overall in total to make sure our CO2 emissions and stuff is actually down. The lockdown continues in the UK. Even when we are supposed to come out of it, we have to lock down, but all but in name. The same here, automotive, exactly the same thing. We have exactly the same problem. We have this name thing. We're saying lockdown level 5, but lads, uptown is just as busy walking around. Just the whole streets are full of people. There's everyone going to Centra. The only difference is things like Pennies isn't open, or you can't buy a jumper. You can buy underpants. That's as far as we've gotten, The Gardaí still don't have the right to send you home. The law is not signed in properly. So that's another problem. There's something else we haven't done. It's just this list of things that aren't getting done because we lock down and everybody just goes into a little hibernation mode. And now we have such dull days like today where it's just grey, never really gets bright. The people are getting very... I would say depression is starting to push in. I'd say there's an awful mental pressure on people now to do something. They want to go somewhere, do something, but you can't even go on holidays. You can't go anywhere. So the problem continues here as well. Barry Fitz just watched the F1 here and we've witnessed a miracle. Grossine just walked away from a car that got cut in half and burst into flames after hitting a barrier. I'm shook. Bloody hell. Is that possibly on Twitter? Could we have a look at that? Is that usually Twitter spews out the incidents very quickly, but I don't see it now on the first scroll through. It's just a photograph of it though. Motorsport, hang on, we'll cut that for a second. That's a picture on Twitter that I see right now. You can see that's Motorsport images, but there's a man in that. Is there a man in there? There is. In this bit of the picture here is actually a man and someone else trying to drag him out. I'll continue to have a little lander through. Maybe there'll be a video of that there somewhere that I can see as well, but I don't see it right now. God damn. I see, yeah, hold on a second. I found one. You can see, pause. Yeah, pause. Thanks. Right, we cut over to that. So here's a video here of what looks like what's left of the car. You can see. That's not playing for some reason. There it is there. That's on Guilfoyle. That's what's left of the car. There's the back half of the car. There's the rest of the car. That's incredible. That's incredible. Wow, what a fire. What a thing is going on. That's crazy. But yeah, there's a Formula One. Yeah, there's YouTube videos that's been sent to me here, but I can't see it. I can't see it on that thing. But yeah, that's the result of the fire. So yeah, it's good that someone just walked away from that. It's always nice, isn't it? Nice to think that happened. And I'll scroll back up here. I missed some of the questions. Christmas, see that one. Brian Ross, VW. There's that one. You're getting close and getting closer. Nearly there. Barry Fitz. There's Barry Fitz. There we are. All right. Gosheen Clashers. Wild, crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Argos has been sold a couple of times in the last decade, and Amazon could have bought, no problem, to have a high street and more spread out delivery hub system, but they absolutely don't want that model. Why would you want that model? Why would you want to have a physical bricks and mortar shop now? And I know a lot of business owners who talk to me about not having an office now because they were very productive during lockdown. People stayed at home. And where does that leave your electricity bills and your office equipment and all? If you're not self-employed, like what are you going to do? How do you claim any of that stuff back? That's all your office sitting at home. I wonder what's going to happen with next year if they suddenly go, look, we're all out of lockdown, let's all go back to work. Will they go back to work? Will everyone go back to work, or what are they going to do? You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird place to be. But we'll see as the year passes on. I think by March next year, people will either be like sick of it and won't want to talk ever about lockdown in the whole lifetime of the world ever again, or we'll be so good at it that we'll stay in lockdown forever. Another video here is after spotting this one on Twitter as well. That's the same thing. There's getting out of the crash. You can see. I can't zoom that up because it's a GIF. I think you can only pause it. Yeah, I can only pause it. So here's the firefighter coming in. See firefighter this side, two firefighters here, and he's getting out. Look, he's just climbing over the fence. Can you believe that a man walks out of that? Can you believe that? Like, look at that inferno. That is an inferno he's climbing through there to get out of the car. Jesus, that is incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. Would you believe that's even possible? Someone get out of that? That's the safety part of, as much as it's ruining all of your freedoms, it's certainly keeping people alive in Formula One. Anyway, what chair is that? Oh, this one I'm sitting on. It's a what do you call it? IKEA chair. It has a mesh back on it, which isn't great, to be honest with you. In wintertime, it's quite cold. You need to put something behind you in the winter. I'm going to change it out soon because it's quite old now at this stage as well. It's been the office chair, the work chair, all over the place. Annie McPhee says there are very strict shipping restrictions on lithium batteries that attracts higher costs and regulations crossing the border by both air and sea. They don't offer higher cost shipping option though. Still I can manage to get them here. I just have to do it by a sort of background way of getting there. What's really bothersome with buying anything anywhere is that, particularly battery powered things, is that sometimes you just need it. Like there's battery charger things that I have that I use for charging my phone that I have to, you buy them in PC World, but they're nearly out of date. Like the battery's crap in it, doesn't work, or a cable breaks. Whereas you buy them off Amazon, you can get really good ones, ones with screens and lights and things that lights up and stuff. It's really good. I've had a few, but I don't even have any in hand at the moment. The rules around it are 9. Can buy a GoPro with batteries, no problem. With the batteries on their own. Yeah, no, that's the problem, isn't it? Like the GoPro comes with everything I bought comes with a battery, but yet I can't buy the battery separately anywhere. Stupid. We put in public charge points as mandated by the EU about a decade ago. It went several years without ever being used. That's ESB did the same thing here. The first round of all of the on-street chargers were all replaced recently. Every one of them. Some of them are decommissioned. Some of the ones that were there before are gone now. They've been removed. Like the ones up in the Lewis stop, the Red Cow, they moved them around up there to get rid of them. Because it wasn't working. No one was using the thing. So they moved it over to the other side of the entire unit. And they've moved some of them up everywhere. All the ones that weren't being used were all gotten rid of. So public charge points are on a constant move. That's a big problem. Looking to buy an Alpine A110, blue or white. You want me to choose a colour of your car. Let me look at the car, see what colour would suit it. It kind of have to be blue, wouldn't it? Blue is the colour, but as long as it doesn't go on fire, it should be okay. Blue, I think, might be the colour. I see a red one here as well, and there's a grey one. But if you want blue or white, if you're going to go blue or go white, you'd have to go white with a stripe. I think, like that one. That's got a stripe on it. Up along the side, which is quite cute. But there it is in blue, which is quite cute as well. I like the blue one. Buy the blue one. Where was that question? Eric Rochard. No, he's answered another question. Cross 13. The mirror screens on Honda E are much better a spot than on the Audi e-tron, for sure, yeah, which are way too low down. Also better quality cameras and screens than the Audi. I think so too. And funny, I was looking back in a video and I thought they look very low resolution, some of those screens, but they're not though. I don't think they're not. They seem pretty good resolution in fairness to them. What I like about the Honda E, and it won our car of the year here as well, of course, but what I really like about it is it's kind of shot me forward into the future. I feel like you're in Blade Runner or something, driving around in an ordinary car. It feels much more than it actually is. You know what I mean? Totally different. But it's really cool. I think it's a very, very cool little car. I'm looking forward to having a good long drive in it. Because there's always that initial jumping into the car, driving off, and then you go, God, I'm running out of battery already. But you're not. You're meant to drive to near empty and then fill it up again, unlike a petrol car where you always think, oh, it's not moving for the first 100 kilometers. A diesel car stays filled and then starts to disappear off it. So it's kind of weird. And Mini Eggs, hi Bob, do you think estates are going to survive the next round of model replacement? The bloody better. Do you think rugged estates will survive, or are they way too niche? Like the Passat All-Track, I think, has nearly disappeared off the market entirely. Skoda did a version of that as well. There used to be a Golf of that too, I think. Or was it Passat? No, it's a Passat of that thing as well. But they're all but disappeared, those specialist versions of the cars and the off-road one, because people don't really want an off-road one anymore. They don't really want to have that now. They want a car that looks like an off-road, but necessarily just a front-wheel drive car. So that's where I think it's going. But the problem is, I don't know why people are buying these little hatchback cars when estates are so much bigger and cheaper. If you start looking at them, it's the level, it's the eye level. So when you look into the boot of one of those small estate or small hatchback cars, off-roady cars or SUVs, you look in and you immediately notice that it's actually quite a small boot. When you compare the volume shape of an estate car, often the estates are cheaper and there's an awful lot more room in them. So I don't get why people are buying them all the time. I know some of them look nice, but I really think that an estate is much better. But I think estates are here to stay, because they're very clever. A lot of people buy them for that reason. But I don't know if those off-roads, Passat All-Tracks or Audi All-Roads or any of those cars are going to survive it. Fixed stance was to wait 15 business days, then contact the local post office after a month. Now reshipping them with a few days shipping. Thank you very much. My wife has turned up with coffee. So it's coffee break time. Every 2 hours you have to get 10 minutes off, right? Oh my god, that's nice. Anyway, it looks like that driver is out and safe. Thankfully, he is. There's a picture of him here. I'll just cut to that. There's a picture of him. He's okay. He looks okay. He doesn't look too worse for wear. Hopefully his suits and everything else work, because that's what he needs, of course, is the suit. Hang on. There's another video over here that I see. What's this one now? That's the same one. That's the man getting out of the car. As you can see there, he's getting away from it. Look, he's shaking his hands, trying to think, is he on fire? I'm sure in his mind, you know, when you're getting out, you go, I can't believe I'm able to get up and walk around. So I'm just going to climb out and run away and hope that I'm going to be okay. Leave it up to everybody else. Serious collisions. That's incredible. You guys probably watch that on TV better than I am. It's gas. Modern technology isn't like I can live go to Twitter. Mad that, isn't it? Okay, I've already asked the question on Sunday service, but received. Thank you, whoever that was. But I'll just open it up. Someone just donated by Jar Sharp. Thank you very much. Jar Sharp just donated by Super Chats here as well. Thank you very much. You can do the same if you wish, or you can send it to PayPal, or you can send it to all the links are in the comments down below if you want to do that. Or you can go to streamerlinks.com/bobflavin. You want to buy some merch, or you want to buy Captain Stupid Bollocks t-shirts or a bobflavin t-shirt, any of that sort of stuff. All ships from Kerry, an Irish business as well. Support Irish. Here we go. So Paul O'Connor. Okay, I've already asked a question on Sunday service and received some help. Good man. But we'll ask here again. I'm looking for a Golf van 2015 newish. If anyone knows one in great condition, DM me. Okay, he's looking for a Golf van. And have you looked on Dundee? No. It's very hard to find Golf vans, isn't it? Those things went away. Volkswagen Golf. See, it's not even listed, is it? Caddy's there, of course, but not Golf van. Vento. Oh, there is. You can go into van. Hold on now. Volkswagen. No, they're not vans. You mad joke. VW Golf GTI van. Will you get out? I don't see any on Dundee off the top of my head now. None are jumping out at me. I have found a €600 1998 1.9 diesel Golf Estate. That's any good to you. The state of that yoke. Why would you buy that? Look at that thing. Look at that thing. My God. Look at the state of that thing. That's NCT ready. That's what you call that. Look at the paintwork. Looks like a forklift hit it in the side. And you want 600 quid for that? Is it running? Oh my God. Okay, enough of the rough stuff. We'll go back where we were. That's upsetting me to look at that. So anyway, yeah, Paul O'Connor is looking for a Golf van 2015-ish in good condition. And the FX7 aloe vera is great plant from Minor Burns. They have a lot of household kitchens. Yeah, that's why we grew the first one, but that one grew so big that we're just able to take clippings off and make a whole other plant out of it. They're dotted all over the house. We keep them in the bedrooms and everything. But you just break off a bit and then just wipe it on your hand. It comes out just like you see that ad on TV where one's going, and aloe vera comes out of the thing. It's all brilliant. Cross 13. The EV version of the Pro S is more interesting. 50 and 70 kilowatt versions. Toyota is offering a 15-year, 1 million kilometer battery warranty. In fairness, I was talking to a chap the other day who had a problem with a Prius, and he went to a dealership, an older Prius. Now we're talking about one of the like generation 2 Prius, so an older one. And he went to the dealership, said it wasn't really holding a charge anymore, and believe it or not, this is in the UK, but believe it or not, Toyota stood over the warranty and went, yep, no problem, we'll change your battery out. So just give him a new battery in an old Prius, real old Prius, and fitted it for nothing. So hats off. Toyota tend to do weird things and they don't talk about them, not like that. But yeah, EV vans though, they're starting to become a thing, right? Maxus, the vans up there, which used to be called whatever they used to be called, they've been doing EV vans for a bit now as well. Volkswagen have been throwing out things about their transporter being electric and electric California and those kind of yokes. Well, I don't know where that's going to go. For delivery vans, I think it'd be really good, you know, short term, not carrying massive weight vans, because that little van can take a ton in it. It's 100 horsepower. Now an electric van will be able to take probably more than that because it'll be better at towing and able to pull more weight behind it. But the problem there exists of the car is already heavy. So if you put another ton on top of the 1.5 tons of batteries that are there, it makes the car a different license actually. Eric Rochard, are you going to try fit in a few vans into reviews? I had a whole heap of them booked in, yeah. Some surprisingly comfortable vans out there. I love driving vans. I seriously, Eric, love driving vans. They're so comfy because you sit above the pedals and above the steering wheel. It's not in front of you. You're not sitting down, lying down nearly. You're sitting above things. But I actually had the Peugeot version booked in. I think I had something else. I had not a California Transporter booked in as well. I had a few vans booked in, but then they're right into the middle of the lockdown, so I couldn't collect them anyway. So I got but Toyota dropped that one down to me. They dropped it down to Des Hughes Motors, and he gave it a clean, and I picked it up, and I'm going to drop back to him tomorrow. Dole and Baker, a lot of devices will not charge if the battery is not allowed to discharge too far. The inbuilt chargers fail to function in extreme discharge cases. I don't know. I'm not going to doubt you. I'm sure that's right. I haven't a clue whether that works or not. I've never had a problem with. The only problem I've ever had with charging was in the Audi e-tron. I plugged it into a charger uptown, and it started charging and went off to get a cup of coffee and come back to the charger, and it had stopped charging at some point. I don't know when, but no charge really had gone in. So I don't know what happened there. That may have been user error. I don't mean that it was me. I should have watched it charge for a little bit before I left. Should have made sure it was actually charging. All the lights came on. It was fine. I had another problem one upon a time as well, where I came back to a charge unit, and a man who had pulled up in his Nissan Leaf, which is the one that plagues every charge point. He had pulled up and he had hit the emergency stop, and he had not unplugged me, but it stopped charging. Then he rang to come to get it put back on, and then he was charged. He just took my charge essentially, and he thought I'd gone off when I'd just gone round the corner. But anyway, these things are sent to try us, aren't they? The war on speed boils my blood more than anything in this country. The UK motorways account for 4% of all accidents, not even deaths. Speeds are good for the economy. Look at Germany. That's the problem most of the time, is that we have this consistent war on speed, when actually we just should have a war on paying attention. It's the most important thing, as most people don't. How many people do you see driving on the road like this, looking out the window, and they're looking down at their phone, sending a text message, or looking at Twitter, or looking at a Formula 1 crash on their phone? Because people are distracted. People don't want to be distracted now. They want, because they're stuck in traffic, so they're constantly distracted. So they stop, to put their handbrake on, they start sending a text message, your man beeps from behind, and then they start to move forward. Most crashes happen below 10 kilometers an hour. Dynamic frame. Why not just tax speed? If you want to drive legally over 100 miles per hour on a motorway, you can pay some extra road tax, because some people just need to get where they're going in the fast lane, not doing 50. Yeah, that doesn't work. Speed dynamics, the speed differentials between the two would be crazy. You'd need a special lane. So you either have to go the Autobahn route and just remove the speed limit entirely, or you have to limit the speed. There is only two ways. I mean, look at Spain. Spain is a way physically bigger country than any other country in Europe, and their speed limit, we're talking about going down to save CO2. Talking about going from 120 to 110 instead, and it was shot down. They didn't go for it in the end, because Spain is just so big. It already takes forever to cross it. So it's a really big country. But if you want to do that in the UK, you want to make that speed limit drop, or speed limit move up, the way to do it is to put tax on fuel. So the faster you want to go, the more fuel you're going to use. Pretty straightforward that way. You can catch people out pretty quick like that. Mark Turner spits satisfactory 55 miles 3 hours 20 minutes AM today. Only advantage of lockdown, quieter traffic training. 55 miles in 3 hours and 20 minutes. Were you driving really slow or something? Because I would have that done in like an hour. Oh no, wait, no, miles are much more. Yeah. I always forget that. I go to the UK and you get in and your man says it's 10 miles away, and you're driving along going, it's a very long drive for 10 miles. You're not realising that's quite a long way. And 55 miles is much longer, yeah, of course. Lisa, hi Bob. Lisa from Chunky Knits. There's Lisa from Chunky Knits. Get out. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm like 25 minutes behind you. That's really bad. She's on Instagram and does some beautiful knitwear stuff. You were talking about the price of things in Ireland. Do you know they call Ireland Treasure Island because you can charge so much for stuff here? That's crazy. It's just crazy. Some of the stuff here that you see, and I can make a conscious effort to try during lockdown, particularly where these small businesses who are doing their utmost to sell stuff are selling things, but the price of couriers is very high, the price of boxing is very high, the price of moving stuff around the country is impossibly high, the price of returns, the price of staff, the price of electricity, insurance, it just adds everything to it. So it's very, very difficult to be a cottage industry in Ireland, a small individual business just doing something on their own. You have to suddenly scale up to be a massive yoke. We no longer want a mom and pop run shop. We now want Centra. You know what I mean? We now want super value. We want a supermarket so we don't have to go anywhere else. So we don't want to go into a little tiny shop to buy bespoke cakes that they just made this morning and a tin of beans and a newspaper. That's just out of the question. Now we want a gargantuan place that does everything. But we're not willing to pay the price for it. Look at a cup of coffee. I always go back to a cup of coffee. You can buy a cup of coffee in Portugal for €1 and it's made for you behind the counter. You might give you a free glass of water to go with it. Here in Ireland, you'd start around £3 and you need to make it yourself. You need to press the buttons yourself and the machine spews it out at you in a very efficient way, and on you go, and people buy it every day. We buy it so much it's become a phrase. I'll meet you for a coffee. It's become a thing now. Instead of meet you for a chat, I'll meet you for a coffee, which literally means someone's going to suck all of the life out of your day and spend 45 minutes talking about their kids first. Paul Collins, hi Bob, what wipers would you recommend for 2016 Skoda Superb? Skoda ones aren't great. I've changed mine on this rather than the Opals I had. Wipers are a bit of a thing, yeah. Now I tend to go for Valio wipers, but I would say that Valio is probably the OEM manufacturer for Skoda. That's usually the way it is. Valio is a company that make an awful lot of stuff, but I have trusted Valio wipers for my whole driving life, to be honest with you. Every car I've ever gotten, if I was changing the wipers out, I would always go straight looking for Valios, because they make the softest rubber on it and it doesn't have that thump effect. It's a thump effect, so when the wiper reaches the edge it goes thunk, because the blade is folding the other way, so it makes a funny thunk. I noticed that Peugeots go with a different brand these days and it doesn't clear the screen properly. They used to be Valio. All used to be Valio. They made the best stuff. So go for Valio if you can. Sean Gall. I'm at 3:10 by the way, so don't get concerned. We're into the last half hour though, so we're alright. We're getting there. We're passing through this day eventually, which seems to be night all day. We're getting there. Sean Gall, hi Bob, would you going to buy a new SUV between Peugeot 3008, Hyundai Tucson or Skoda Karoq diesel? Which you recommend? Karoq is the one I would go with on that list. My brother's had to buy one as well. He's very happy with it, and he came out of a Ford Mondeo. He was very happy with the Skoda Karoq. It's really roomy, it's lovely to drive, it's got a nice bright interior. The second on that list would be the Hyundai Tucson. I like 3008, but the small steering wheel drives me nuts. And that's just me. Maybe that's me. Maybe other people get used to it and love it. But for me, I just cannot get used to 3008 steering wheel, the little steering wheels. So I would go Karoq and Tucson in that order. And I noticed further down, Bosch. Eric Watcher says Bosch, probably also OEM for Skoda Superb. Bosch wipers are very, very good as well. I used to sell the two of those, and along with a couple of other cheap brands in Newbridge Auto Parts when I worked there for years. And people would remark on the difference between buying a Bosch or a Valio. It's a bit more expensive, but what you get from it is amazing, you know. Especially when you want to clear the windscreen at this time of the year. Screen wash is also a big factor to that as well. Make sure you're putting like if you buy concentrated screen wash and dilute it yourself rather than buying the automated dilute system. So if you're buying because you're buying half a bottle of water, that's what you're essentially, because pre-diluted already. So be careful of that one when you're putting your screen wash in, that you're buying the concentrated one and mixing it yourself. I used to do it for people in Newbridge Auto Parts. Used to do it in a watering can. So I bring the watering can out the back and I put in like I don't know, 500 mils of concentrated wash and 500 mils of screen wash or water, and put the two into it, and that would do it nicely, because you get a lovely smell then. Where are we next? Bosch wipers best for Superb. Had them many times in the past, replaced them very quiet too. Says Eric Rochford. Cross 13, the higher companies will have the local rapid chargers and charge a 20-30 recharging fee. You bring back below 80% and actually make more money with that. Yeah, you see, then I wouldn't hire a car if I didn't. If I thought, and this is my own personal thing, because I've been hiring cars for years on holidays and stuff, right? But if I thought for a second that a hire car company was going to bill me after I'd bring the car back, I'd freak out. I always want to sign it off and go, right, are you happy with everything? He goes, yeah, I'm happy. That's the last I want to hear of the guy. I don't want to hear any more about the car. I want to make sure it's perfect. So it's scary for me to think to bring back a car to them and let them charge it up. You know, I would charge that myself. I'd charge that and bring it back with like 95% in limp mode all the way back to the hire company. But I get what you mean. They probably would do something like that, yeah. Ryan Quinn, hi Bob, what's your opinion on 2-litre Volkswagen Amarok? Pretty good. I prefer the 3-litre. There's a 3-litre version of that, and in the Ranger there's a 3.2 version. Now I'm not too sure they're going to continue with those engines. 2-litre was always pretty good. It's good horsepower and stuff behind it, but I always felt it was a little bit light for heavy duty work. Like if you want to if you're going to tow a mini digger, which a lot of these things end up doing, is towing mini diggers around the place. If you want to tow that on a regular occasion, a 2-litre diesel just seems like something that's going to struggle after a while, particularly up hills and things. You know, you're just going to have to struggle with it. So I prefer the bigger engines on them, but they're fine. After that, they're fine. As a work vehicle, they're very capable. Off-road, they're very capable. Pickup trucks seem to be getting very popular here. I'm not quite sure why. I see a woman the other day, actually, outside of a shop up in the estate here, and she was trying to load in things like air dryers, stuff for clothes dryers, and that sort of thing, but she wouldn't put it into the boot of the pickup truck. She put it into the back seat because she's afraid of it getting robbed out of the boot. That's why, you see. We're a funny bunch. We're not like Americans. Americans put their shopping into those little pickup trucks because if someone comes over to steal their shopping, they just shoot them. That's essentially what it goes down to. Well, I think the Skoda Enyaq, it looks good so far. Should be on the road in the middle of that. I did a pre-drive test of the pre-production model on this channel. It's there, Skoda Enyaq. It was actually released here in Ireland for us to drive, which is very weird. Just checking my phone, make sure I haven't missed anything. Belong to you lads. I know some people email me and text me and stuff in the middle of it. Where was I? Robbie K. Hi Bob, getting rid of my Megane diesel and have been offered a Fiat 500 Gucci or a Toyota Signet. What do you think of both? Any in future investment by? Signet maybe. The Toyota Signet was turned into an Aston Martin yoke, wasn't it? Is that the Signet? Is that one? Anyway, the Gucci Fiat 500 will be definitely Fiat 500 is going to be definitely collectible at some point in the future, but I don't know whether to be collectible in anything useful time wise. Like, you could be looking at a 20-year investment in either one of them to even make your money back out of them, because both of them are still relatively fresh, you know. Unless you're talking about a Fiat 500 from like Bambino age, which would be way back. They're worth money. They're fetching big money, actually, in fairness to them. Bob, did you see the Roman? Gosh, there's a crash again. Yeah, we did. We were showing it here online. My God. Well, Bob, it's right across the screen from Luke. Boy, how are you, Luke? I'm caught up more or less on you now, so we're alright. Yes, Bob, it used to be an all-track Passat Golf 1 point around 08 or 09. Did a 9N3 Polo called June. I remember that. The June. Yeah, I remember the Polo June. God almighty. It's like after sparking a memory. See if we can find a picture of that. Polo June. Yes, here we go. Here we are. There's a Polo June. Did you ever see one of them before? Weird looking yoke, isn't it? Where's that going to lead me now? Could be anywhere. Oh, it's Parker's, so alright. Parker's.co.uk. Volkswagen Polo June. I hate these privacy things, drive me nuts. Look at the state of that. Weird looking, isn't it? The lower bit here, it's got alloys on it which are impossibly stupid for off-road use. Pros: neat off-road styling edition, comfortable ride, economical engine, good build quality, not actually four-wheel drive, lackluster 1.2. Parkers, you are mean, aren't you? Offers little over standard Polo, dull cabin design. Wow, stuck in the boot in there. Why would you want? There's 46 pictures of it though. Is there any interior pictures? Come on, where's the interior? Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, look at all that grey. And then there's a big colourful one. Look at that one. That's still fairly boring though, man. It's just orange. But look at all the grey. Remember those radios? God, we're going through the memories now, boys. Look at the radios and everything. It's nearly dark here, lads. This is crazy, isn't it? Like 20 to 4. So many of those odd older cars had such boring, bland interiors, didn't they? Really, like, properly. Anyway, 5 more likes for triple figures. Good lads on the likes. Thank you very much. Just flip over and have a look myself. Oh yeah, look at that. Likes 103. Thanks very much. That's really good. It's good to have you all here. It's still a quiet day, obviously, because that's the way life is. People find other things to do over the 2 hours. I used to love speed limits in kilometres in the mainland Europe. Get off the train in France and point east and see signs saying you have 500 kilometres to go, but the countdown much faster than miles. It feels better. Yeah, it's true. It is true, yeah. It's a crazy situation when you get on anything in the UK and they say it's 30 miles away. You go, yeah, 30 miles, yeah, it's no problem, because you're thinking in kilometres. You're thinking 30 kilometres, 30 miles, no problem. And then you're still on the road like an hour later and you're going, why is it taking so long to get where we're going? It's crazy, isn't it? Mark Smith, sorry, missed off. That was on my road bicycle doing miles. You should have seen the F1 crash. Did see that now? Yeah. there's all about the crash now. Just switched on to kilometers per hour so we can do 100 kph in the UK. Actually, I was asked the other night, there's a Mondeo a woman's after she wanted to buy. Was it a Mondeo? I think it was a Mondeo. Anyway, she's buying it from the north of Ireland and it's in miles per hour, and she wanted to know was there a switch for turning to kilometers an hour. And I seem to remember a setting in the system that you could change to kilometers per hour. Pretty handy. It wasn't that hard. You still had the physical miles per hour on the outside, but you could change the electronic one in the centre to kilometers per hour. Anyway, let's just switch to kilometers an hour so we can all do 100 in the UK. I love that. You must do 100 miles an hour in the UK. Although you guys were very late to the party when it came to speed limits, by the way. It took a while. Let's see if there's any updates to our crash as it's come back. Bahrain Grand Prix. There's some news stories on it, but very little video wise. He seems to be out and fine and being carried away, like he walked away from it essentially. Why is there no video, lads? Give it a break, will you? I'll go over to get that one off the Facebook page. That's what I'll do. Hold on. I will retrieve one for us somewhere to look at, surely. It'll be on YouTube somewhere, which I probably won't be able to show you, by the way, which could be scary. Maybe I shouldn't. Joe Cooney's gone live on his account as well, just in case you're wondering. There it is. I'm not sure, this is from YouTube, so I'm not sure I can actually show you this too handy, but we'll cut to it and see what happens. This is from Creamy Corn Cob, which is probably totally illegal at the moment, but we'll try and we'll see if anything comes up on the messages from the streaming. There he goes. Woof, got into the wall. Whoa, just see a quick replay of that. The bottom of the screen there, bang into the wall. Leaves the track a little bit as well. It's quite there's a couple of crashes happening all at once there on that one stream, so it's kind of weird, isn't it, to see that flick back and forward. It's kind of weird to see how many other little crashes there were happening, and there'll be an investigation of how he managed to hit the wall in like the center of it. Crazy to see that thing happening. You can stop playing now, thanks very much. We don't want to see any more of that. Goodbye. Before YouTube has a fit, YouTube will have a fit. We'll go on, and there's things on your live stream that you're not allowed to have in your live stream, because the YouTube little bot thing watches my live stream while it happens, believe it or not. They're weird like that. Luke Boy found a golf van on Dundee for £1,600, €1,600, 1.907. So there's your golf van. It's been found. Rick Nelson, 3 weeks lockdown starts tomorrow night in LA County in LA, USA. Oh, you guys had it as well. And I saw it this morning, Hong Kong is going into lockdown again. So it's not all over yet, boys. All I want to do now is go to the pub and have a pint. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Just my dream. And I've never done it. You know, this is something I'm dreaming about this at this stage. And it's not me at all to do this, but I'd like to do it. Would be to get the Sunday paper, something like the Times, which has a lot to read on a Sunday Times, you know, and head into the pub, sit up at the counter with a nice big pint of something, Guinness, like something like that, and just sit there and read the paper quietly. I don't even want to be in a party. I don't even want to go out for the night. Just sit there and have a quiet pint with a paper. Would that be lovely? It sounds ideal to me, but we don't seem to be getting into a position where we can make that happen. But God, it'd be lovely to just sit back for a few minutes, peace and quiet. That's not in your house, not socially distant lockdown. Just go, how are you going? No mask, none of that shit. Just sit down and have a pint. That would be absolutely phenomenal. But like, yep, we're not going to have that in the near future too quick anyway. Annie McPhee says, I changed the time before activation of headlight washers last night on my car, and it's savage on the amount of time I use. Each time I use, just want to clear the windscreen now. Only comes on after 3-second pull. How'd you change the time, Andy? So my car cleaner puts suds all over the bonnet. yeah, no. I used to. My friend came up to me the other night, a few nights ago now, pulled up in the car outside and said, there's something wrong with me. I washed my car and there's something wrong with the screen washers now. They're not working. And he pulled the trigger, and the two of them went over the top of the car. And I haven't seen that in years. They're built into the bonnet line, but they've just been moved a bit. But you just haven't seen them do that in years. So it's weird when you do it. But how do you change the activation of headlight washers? Oh, I know what you mean. Yes, okay, I know what you're talking about. The electric Enyaq went into full production there 4 days ago. Skoda announced intended 350 a day within a couple of months. Yeah, they sent us out emails and stuff on the price, but the price just seems, lads, the price of those electric cars, just like scary stuff. Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted because I was actually looking at this when we're looking at stuff online as well, which is your local authority. So you see here in Kildare, and then Laois spends this much, and Kildare spends this much. This is roads. That's just on roads now, right? But that's just comparing it. So if you look back here at the local authority, which I picked Laois earlier on, you can see, they keep opening housing on me, but you can see on roads that we're spending 224.44 per person. You can find this out for yourself on NUI Galway. That's where it is. Localauthorityfinances.com, spending and so on. And you can see how much they spend on all kinds of things, including recreations and amenities. Look how little we spend on leisure facilities in Laois. And again, if I go back to comparing councils, and I'm just going to compare with Kildare again because it's just next to us. It's the easy way of doing it. Tell you what, we'll stick in another county as near as about Offaly, right? So there's 3 counties that are very close together, and you can see now that Laois leads the way by quite some distance on how much they spend on roads, right? Versus recreation amenity. Look, Laois spending the most on recreation amenity compared to Kildare and Offaly. So it's weird when you start rooting around inside of here. It makes me question all kinds of things about what's happening, particularly with roads, particularly what they're spending on roads, and how that's been spent and what's it been spent on, because it seems so high for roads that it's an immense spend every time. Agency and recoupable services, I don't know what that is. That could be anything. Support the roads capital programme. There we are. So if I go somewhere a bit bigger now, so instead of going to Laois, I'm going to go to Dublin, which is it Dublin City? There we go, Dublin City, right. So forgetting about housing again, I'm not going to worry you too much with housing, but there you go, that's what we're looking at now. Road maintenance is 5.1% on road maintenance for Dublin City. And again, if I compare Dublin to Laois, because we know where we are with those, yeah, roads, look at Laois, miles up. What are they spending on? What are they buying? I don't get it. Has Northern Ireland or England got anything like this? Because I don't know what exactly they're spending it on in Laois, because realistically we don't have that much road to be looking at compared to Dublin, which will have a network infrastructure of M50s and the N7s and all these things that are coming in and out. And it might not be counted in Dublin City, but for whatever reason, with all the amount of money that Dublin spends on the roads to make it happen, I don't get how Laois is spending so much money on their roads compared to Dublin. What about Rover 25 Streetwise? Oh my God, that's true. There's a Rover. Hang on, I have to look that up. Rover 25 Streetwise. Copy. We're going to look that up. I might even look it up at Parkers, because they did a good job first time out. I give Parkers now a free go. No, they don't have it. Oh, they do have it. Hold on. See if it loads up into a review, or what's it going to do. It's struggling to find the file belonging to it. Anyway, here we go. Rover Streetwise. Ta-da! Look at that. An epic thing, isn't it? Look at all the plastic. This whole front was plastic, and for whatever reason they never painted it, so it looks unpainted, right? Pros: wallet friendly and street tough styling. Cons: 1.4 petrol can be hard to work out of town. Oh yeah, I can hear that. Base spec is very basic, yeah, for sure it is. Let's have a look and see if there's any pictures of the interior as we hold on. Wow, what was this for? You gonna put a pen in there or something? What's that for? And the little old radio in it. Is there a cheaper one? There must be a lower spec. No, that's it. Yeah, it's pretty big. Oh, there's only 2 seats in the back. Look at that. There's nothing in between. No middle seat. Yes, the pinnacle of Rover design. Well done, Rover. We like it. Well done. Any other ones that spring into mind are, lads? The Polo looks like a Rover 200 thing. Yes, the Rover Streetwise. Yeah, bland but cheap. We like that. Anyway, only good thing about miles per hour in the UK is single carriageway NSL is 60 miles per hour, so 1 mile per minute for estimation of time. I like it. Patrick Walsh's went pints, just pints, with like heart faces. Pints. You're right too, Patrick Walsh. I know, I feel it. I can feel the pent upness of people around the place kind of going, I'm just going to buy a 24 pack of Guinness and sit at home and just drink it myself while reading the paper. But it's not the same though, is it? You know, when you walk in, and like I don't really go to pubs. I don't really go. I never really went to pubs. I used to work in pubs, so you get put off it when you work in them. But you sit in and you kind of go, jeez, because I'm not just sitting in a pub and have a pint. Like, I'm as socially distant in the pub as I am in Aldi. So I'd sit there happily. But I'd love to be able to sit without a mask and just say hello to people on the way in through the door. It'd just be lovely, wouldn't it? Andy McPhee says, I use the Carista to change the time of washers. Oh, you have a app thing on your phone, have you, that's hooked into your car. Like Fix, but we can make alterations as well. Would normally use VCDS on VAG stuff, but have it in the car so handy, so you used to kill the stop start. That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. I haven't used Carista now before. I know I've seen a lot of people talk about it though. Mark Turner Smith says, say it did Altera All Track fake off road. I have to look that one up now. We're getting all the good stuff, lads. This is where it all goes very wrong very quickly. We'll try out Parker's again because they seem to have this sorted. No, they don't have that one though. Golf All Track. Let me just click over here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So they have Subaru Outback, i4 All Road, used cars, then All Track, road tests are All Track as well. They don't have any of that. They don't have the Seat one. Parkers, you let us down. That was the first time we wandered outside of that. I'll have to talk to the lads on their systems. Altura All Track. No, I don't see that even in Google. No, I see Passat All Track, alright. No, none of them. Anyway, moving on. Show a horrific car. I have to show up. I would, yeah. I'll just look up Altura instead. Not All Track. No, don't see that at all. Say it, is it? Say it did. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Andy McPhee says, in NI you pay the rates annually for residential property, no council tax like in GB. You get a statement each year to show your last year's rates, exactly what the penny you want each. We have property tax here, essentially the same thing. Yeah, so we pay it every year as well, and we there's a balancing act to try and find, like, you don't want your house to be worth too much to pay more property tax, but you want the price of your house to rise because then you're not negative equity. So there's this very fine point that you want to stay in. Oh no, my house is very cheap. No, it's property tax. No, very cheap. It's funny how we work out things here. They are paying your road workers more than the other two counties. That could be it, but I doubt it. I'd say they're all paid about the same, or they're paying for some sort of service that's going out for a third party or something like that. There's something that's going on in Laois that makes what they're spending on the road much higher than what every other country spends on the road. Cross 13 says, the Irish Times had a story from EY study today that showed that COVID rates in areas where wet pubs are open spiked 3 times higher than Dublin, which didn't. Not gas. People eating a meal in a pub tend to be self-selecting group, more responsible people anyway. The UK is a weird exception to their lockdown, which you could eat in a restaurant and doing so for business. When we went down for a week to Clare in the camper van, we were still on. You could book for a meal in the pub, but you had to go in at a certain time. You had to be out, but you had 90 minutes and all that sort of stuff. And we went in, we had no problem. Literally sat there and went through it, and nobody got COVID. There was no outbreaks, and it was really well done. They had us very separated now, in fairness. They did a great job. But I know, obviously, alcohol means people will start to wander about the place and do things, they wander up to get a pint, and maybe they're fed up waiting for someone to come and give them pints, so they go and get their own pint, and that creates a social gathering thing, which is the problem here that we're all dealing with at the moment, which is unfortunate because we're so friendly as people. Andy McPhee says, I worked in an MG Rover dealership when Streetwise came out, and the launch event, they wanted us in on the weekend to help promote it. I declined. The same with the City Rover. Oh, the City Rover. Do you remember that, York? What was the little... Rover did some really odd little cars over the years as well. There was another one called... that's a Wikipedia page. Not going there. Drive Tribe. No. Auto Express. Rover. Look at that. Look at this for a headline. Wait till you see this for a headline. Rover City Rover, the worst cars ever. that's a start. Look at that. Isn't that sex on wheels, lads? Come on, look at that. That's pure sex. That is like sexy for a blind person. I mean, seriously, that looks like a Daewoo. You know when Daewoo's come out first, it really does have that face that only a mother would love. Now, in fairness to it, the state of it, like realistically. Why did I think that was going to sell? Why did I even imagine it? The state of that car. Anyway, National Scallywag says, construction is a great way to launder money. Brown envelopes floating about in Love that. Brown envelopes worth billions floating around. I'm sure that's actually the same everywhere. Thomas Hyler got here late, raining in New Orleans. No, Thomas, you're nearly over now, man. We've only 5 minutes left, but you're here long enough to answer a question. Might have spelled it wrong. Say it, I know what you're talking about. I think I was crashed into in one of them one time. Hold on, I think I know the car you're talking about. Seat Altea XL. Yes, that is one. Don't think it's an off-road car though. Why is that giving nothing but motor check or something like that? Used cars. There's Parkers. Now we go for Parkers again. I won't give anybody else too much effort. I'll keep it with Parkers because I know that Parkers is okay. Yes, I was crashed into that. So that car, I was given that as a press car one time and drove it home, and I'm going through a roundabout here in Portlaoise, and I was rear-ended by a Bible school bus, a Ford Transit, but on the front of it said like John of God, something or other, was written in the front, and it crashed into the back of it, left a horrible dent in it. 85 pictures parkers are killing themselves. Look at all those cars. Look at this. It's rough, alright, yeah. Practical though, very practical. Seat Leon, like my Seat Leon, that one is, but just massive. Huge. That'd be the difference between the two of them. Some really good stuff on our Parker's website, isn't it? Really good. Like, it's a good website for looking up stuff. Any more interest in any man? Roman Gussian's crash still there? Yeah, there's no more after. Is the F1 still going on? Like, are they still? Did they stop the race or what? Just wondering. Or is it back to normal? Are we still going? Polo June has still started. Is there any other relation to Polo June we should be looking at? Because usually when you look at the images you get someone. No, not really. Polo June lowered. Lads, look at this. Look at this. You haven't lived. Look at what one man did to his Polo June over here in the corner. This one, that's incredible. He's after. Why would you lower what should be an off-road car? Let's take this to a form. I don't know what's in there. Yeah, he's definitely lowered them. I don't know why that was a related yoke, but there's an ordinary Polo June now, but there's one that's lowered. Look at that. Reapered, whatever that means. That's incredible to see people do that to cars. I find it really wild when somebody takes an already fairly ropey looking yoke and then just makes it lower for no apparent reason. It's always good though, isn't it? There's Parkers again. So there's Parkers.co.uk, which I was surprised is quite easy to search for stuff, because normally these UK sites are often not easy to search in the Republic because they block them so you can't see the prices of things. But that's not. You're looking for a make and models. Things are pretty good. The Irish version of that, of course, probably like probably CarZone or something would be similar to that. Cross 13 says the lease figures for the road budgets are entirely in line with the difference in kilometres of roadway covered by each council budget divided by number of residents. All right, okay. It just seems very high in comparison to every other county. Not saying something wrong with it. It's just, where's it going? What did it spend it on? Because the roads aren't exactly brilliant or anything. Although they resurfaced, and I did this on TikTok as well, they resurfaced the whole centre of Portlaoise. The whole double lane going up along the middle, right the way through the centre of town. Resurfaced the whole thing, put down the lines, did all of that stuff, and never put in a cycle lane. Not a single one of them. No, we have two lanes going in the same direction on both sides of the road. So massive boulevard on the centre road called James Finton Lawler Avenue is whatever it is, and there isn't a single cycle lane in it, which I find amazing to think about when you think about what they're doing all the time and constantly at stuff. Anyway, listen, we have made it. It is 4 p.m. and this Sunday service was very chilled out, very relaxed, no big hurry to get through millions of questions. That was okay. That's exactly what we're looking for. I will not be here next Sunday, as I'm taking one day off before the Sunday service special comes out, which will be the Sunday service Christmas edition on the 20th, which I will set up as a future live stream already, so you'll be able to put in reminders and all that sort of stuff. But that will be coming up on Sunday the 20th will be the next one, I think. We might do one more ordinary one between now and then, just as we have a Sunday one. But I'm going to take next week off. So no Sunday service next week. So I'm going to watch the F1 myself as well. That was good. It's been brilliant. Thank you all for the support so far this year. We are back to work tomorrow, basically. Not for me, work directly. I haven't really stopped. But we're back out of lockdown. Let's put it that way. Back out of lockdown. So we're going to have to chill out and try and get our heads back together for the next week or so and see where we are. And next Sunday I'm going to lie down and just try and find something else to do. I've tried to do the Sunday service for all of you, for me as much as you guys, to give us something to look forward to every Sunday so we can do something. But now we're kind of getting back to work. We see how we settle into the week, see how things turn out. And we're into the Christmas run as well. And I have 2 cars to film next week as well. So I'm going to film those and put them up straight away, including the Honda E, which will have a full review. I'm going to do a range test on that one as well. And I'm going to try and do something with the Mercedes and do something else there as well. Some sort of special thing as well. I'm going to have a roundup video for the end of the year. And then it's Christmas, boys. Then we're here. We're in it. It's done. 1st of December is Tuesday, I think, isn't it? I can't remember. It's soon. Anyway, put it that way. It was brilliant. Good to have you all here again this week. Thank you very much for joining in every single week. The regulars who come all the time and turn up and listen and ask questions and say things. It's absolutely brilliant to have you here. You will find me on Instagram. Primarily at the moment, I'm trying to figure out the live system there and the reels and all those other things. It's a very complicated product at the moment, but I'll try and get on to more Instagram stuff. I'm also on TikTok, where there's 70,000 followers, but TikTok is weird, so I don't know how that's going to work out. And of course I'm on Twitter and Facebook as well, which is a Sunday Service Facebook page. Not as active there, but I am there. I am keeping an eye on things, so I'm not very far away, but keep an eye on everything that's going on. And if I don't see you between now and the next 2 weeks, please have a good time. Take it easy. You get through the whole week together. My DMs are open for anybody who needs to talk or needs to chat or just vent at something. Go for it. My email address is bobflavin@nextgear.com. It is hectic. Be careful of that one. You probably won't get an answer straight away, but I will try to answer everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.